Who's ready for the Dirt Life Show?
Woo-wee! Welcome, everybody, to episode 64 of the Dirt Life Show. Thank you guys very much for joining us on this fabulous Monday night. Super windy in Tucson, Arizona, but man, it's awesome to have you guys joining us. This episode is going to be really, really cool because we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to take a lot of questions from you guys. We have a whole bunch of people calling in to get questions and answers from our featured guests tonight of UPR Racing. UPR.com. They also do off-road racing, street racing, everything. We got my buddy Tim Hawley here in the middle and Jeff Furrier on the outside. Both of them have a really long-standing reputation in the off-road community, the racing community. They've man, some of the names that you guys have touched have just been amazing. So maybe a little introduction, Jeff. You've been in the off-road game for a long time, huh?
Yeah, off-road and road racing for, really as long as I can remember. We've been in specifically the racing business for about 20 years, but before that it was always somewhat of a sideline with our accessory business and whatnot. So yeah, but I grew up around off-road racing, living in Tucson, so we were always in the desert.
Yeah, exactly. 2 wheels, 4 wheels, everything.
Whatever it was, yeah.
And how about you, Tim? Same thing?
I grew up going in circles, George.
Yep.
Circles and dirt.
Well, that still counts as dirt life.
Well, it was good for a long time.
Well,
and then we started doing all of this as an excuse to go racing, which
selling products and helping people.
I had a problem and it turned into a business. So
yeah, well, like Tim just mentioned, so UPR.com has a whole bunch of stuff. You guys definitely want to go check out their website. Tonight is not about a sales pitch, though. It's about safety. It's about comfort. It's about giving you guys a little bit of knowledge to make sure that you understand how to just get your UTVs and off-road vehicles set up as good as possible. I was talking to, he's going to call in, our buddy Jesse Nelson, which is an old dirt bike racer, professional, and I was talking to him about the similarities between dirt bikes and what we're going to talk about tonight with getting set up in a cockpit with your seat and your steering wheel and all these different things. And it's really similar to what you would do on your dirt bike with the handlebars, where you position the clutch levers, how high or low you have your seat, the density of your seat foam, all those different things that you can qualify on a dirt bike. All of them translate over into either a side-by-side or an off-road car, specifically in racing or just trail riding. And it's really important that you get those things figured out, because there's a bunch of stuff that we'll talk about tonight that can be helped by it. You get less tired, you're safer in the car, you can keep your family safe, all kinds of different stuff. So it just equals a better time racing or having some fun. So a lot of the stuff that you guys have done in the past has been getting people set up for, certain races, obviously, but in all kinds of different cars. I mean, you've dealt with people like, BJ Baldwin, Rob McCachran, everybody from the top level all the way down to your trail riders, right?
Everybody. Yep.
That's pretty cool to be able to see all that stuff.
Yeah, it all, basically everyone needs to be safe, and the theory, on seatbelt setup and safety is really the same for everybody. It's just, if you're racing and you're in a trophy truck doing 125 miles an hour, obviously, your concerns are different than, if you're just trail riding and going 25 miles an hour. But really the seatbelts are super important, and the setup is most important than anything. You can have the best equipment in the world. If it's not set up right, it just doesn't work. It's just like having the best dirt bike in the world, and if you're not riding it properly, it doesn't work. So It's really equipment is key, but using it properly is the most important part.
Yeah, I could definitely get along with that. The some of the stuff that you guys have taught me in the past about getting set up in the vehicles, like most of the time, like when a new racer comes on or even a new trail rider comes on, they think about it just like their car, right? Like almost all of the side-by-sides that come off the showroom floor nowadays, you're sitting sideways because you position your feet all the way off to the right-hand side of the cab just to even touch the pedals. So it's really weird how all this stuff works.
Yeah, so from the factory, I mean, they have different limitations, right? Some, using the chassis, and I'm sure they have production concerns, and sometimes engineering, and that's just the way they end up. You may not be centered behind the steering wheel, but that's not necessarily unsafe. And from the factory, I think they're doing a pretty good job on a lot of the models with seat belts and seats, and if they're used properly, like I was saying before, then you're in pretty good shape. But once you start, adding horsepower and suspension, and the vehicles will go faster, they usually go beyond the capabilities of the factory safety setup.
Yeah,
So some people add it a little at a time, all at once, or whatever. But we see a lot of really fast UTVs or race cars with, good equipment, just poorly set up.
Yeah.
Or, even the Dune guys, they're buying stuff online, probably good equipment. But where they're attaching it or how they're putting it on, I think the sale stops, as soon as you sign for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
These people, they don't really know how to install the stuff, but they're not really given the information. So.
Well, it'll be cool because we're going to give everybody the information tonight. So we have a bunch of guests calling in. So before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. So we want to thank Shock Therapy. Those guys have been behind us for since we started the show. Those guys are awesome. You can use the code DIRTLIFE and go over there and save a whole bunch of money on their website, or you can just give them a call over there and tell them that the Dirt Life sent you, get a ride improvement system, anything like that. Thank you guys very much to the Solder Weld guys. Solderweld.com. Use the code DIRTLIFE. Save on an off-road repair kit. Zollinger Racing products. They make all kinds of badass UTV parts, just like Jeff was just saying, talking about the accessories and stuff. You can use the code DIRTLIFE over at ZollingerRacingProducts.com. Save a whole bunch of money. Thank you very, very much to the guys at KMC Wheels, the guys there, Ryan over at EFX Tires. They've been helping out a bunch, and we got some awesome stuff happening in 2021 with those guys to be super cool. And one of our buddies that we just announced last week, Josh LaHaye over at Cryo Heat. He's been awesome to start working with, and we're going to have a bunch of stuff with him coming up shortly as well. So thank you very much to all those guys. We really, really appreciate it. One of the things that we wanted to talk about, and that we'll get Kristen Matlock's opinion. She's supposed to call in just a little bit here. Is Baja 1000 is happening this week. So how much safety and how much setup did you guys have to do with Baja 1000, guys? You have a bunch of phone calls and stuff, Tim?
2 trips out of town.
Holy cow.
To make some custom seat inserts for some teams whose drivers don't necessarily fill the same seat.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think what it comes down to.
I think I might have saw something like that. I think I posted it on Instagram. One of them was BJ Baldwin was the main driver for his rig, and then Ray Griffith was going to co-drive for him.
and Ray Griffith, and then Jack's Redline and Updali.
Oh, okay.
Which I think they're both in the rally truck from Geyser that I believe Updali won the 1000 in that one.
Yep.
One time 4 or 5 years ago. So, they're really going to be a team to beat.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So speaking of, oh, there she goes. That's going to be pretty cool to see, though. And so how do they do it? They get a custom seat insert and you just swap it out?
Correct. Yeah, they. It's basically, they'll set it up at the pits to where the driver will be waiting with his seat insert. Driver comes in. We usually fit a seat to the largest driver, and then seat inserts to the other drivers in the vehicle. Like going as far back, how long ago is T-Force, Jeff? What did we do? 20 seat inserts for those guys?
Yeah, well, I don't remember how many it was.
It was a lot.
They had several
it
drivers.
Seemed like a lot.
We did them. Yeah, we've been doing them 15 years.
That's
plus,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, talking about seat inserts, we have we have Kristen Matlock on the line. How are you, Kristen? Can you hear us?
Good. How are you?
We're doing awesome. We might have a little lag because she's down in Mexico.
Yeah, can you hear me? I have bad service.
Yeah, she's down in Mexico pre-running. So we just wanted to get a little bit of info and get some behind the scenes of what's going on down there in Mexico.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can a little bit. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Let me, actually, I'm going to take it off speaker. Let's see.
So,
okay. Is that better?
Yeah, one of the things that we were talking about on the show right now, Kristen, was that talking about like safety and comfort and obviously getting set up properly in your race car. And I think you actually use some of the stuff. We have Jeff and Tim from UPR.com. We're actually in their showroom today doing a show. And I think you actually use one of their seat pads in your seat.
I do, actually. Yeah, because it was actually Roger Norman referred me to those seat pads when I decided, a long time ago when I first started Iron Womaning the Baja 1000, I knew that I needed a really comfortable seat pad. So he's the one that told me all about them, and it has definitely saved me for sure.
Yeah, when I first
Without
got
a comfortable seat, there's no way I can make it.
yeah, especially when you're in the car for 1,000 miles, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to do down here too. So I'm excited for it.
How's things going? You guys just did a little pre-run?
Yeah, we got, let's see, where are we at? We're in San Felipe now. So we've made it all the way from where we can start the race all the way out here to San Felipe. So mile 480, I believe, is where we made it to today. Do you know what
That's
mile
actually
480
pretty good.
is now?
That's a long drive.
What is it? Oh, no,
Further than
645.
that,
Sorry,
yeah.
645.
Yeah, you're almost done.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
Was-
we're getting there. Unfortunately, I actually had a little bit of an accident today, so I'm got a chiropractor on the way right now.
Oh.
I've never done this before, but I went to pass somebody pre-running, and he pulled over for me. He was nice about it, but unfortunately, he pulled up on a little bit of a bank, and when I went to pass him, he slid down, and I ended up hitting his tire with my tire, and it ripped the steering wheel on my hands. Now both my wrists are a mess. So I actually found a chiropractor here in San Felipe, and she's a American lady, and so she speaks great English, and I was able to talk her into coming to visit me at the condo here, and hopefully she'll work her magic, put me back together.
Did you have your thumbs in the steering? Did your thumbs get caught?
It's actually not my thumbs, believe it or not, because that's normally what would happen.
Yeah.
It's my left side of my left hand, and it's like my pinky goes all the way down to that bone right there at the wrist. That's what's really hurting me. So I'm hoping it's just out of a little bit of alignment, and maybe she can tweak it, and I'll wake up just perfect.
Yeah, and if not, there's always cortisone.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make it through this for sure.
Well, we know one person. Her name is Kristen. She's pretty tough. She'll be able to go through it, no problem.
Well, thank you. I hope so. Yeah, it's funny because I can. Yeah, I think I'll be able to grab the steering wheel and go for it. The adrenaline will kick in.
Well, I definitely don't like when hearing stories like this, but that's exactly what we were talking about tonight on the show, which we were talking about safety and comfort inside the vehicle. So it sounds like your vehicle is protecting you pretty good. So I'm glad that you didn't get more hurt.
Yeah, these things happen, and like I said, I'll get her fixed up and make it happen for sure. I have to, so it's only Monday.
When do you guys actually get on course to race?
We start Friday morning. It'll be about 11:15 in the morning, but I have it estimated out right now.
Okay, and what's the estimated completion time?
And then I'm hoping to do it in about 22 hours this year. We'll see, though, because I went through a section yesterday that was gnarly for a couple 100 miles. It was just so twisty, rocky, silty, just you name it. It's like they didn't want us to go straight at all yesterday. It took us, it was basically a 25 mile per hour average through the 200 mile section. So It was a long day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Who starts in front of you and who starts behind you? What classes?
I requested a rear start.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what I like to do.
Right.
So, and I haven't really looked at the entry list too much. So everybody's ahead of me.
Right.
So
Perfect.
that's okay. That's the way I like it. Yeah.
What
I always
about
tell you I like to hunt versus be hunted.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. What about the classes that start before you and ahead of you, though? Or excuse me, before you and behind you?
Yeah, so we've got the turbo cars ahead of us, of course, but I believe there's class 12s in between us if they're going to run them the same way. I don't think they've announced the starting order quite yet. But yeah, that's usually the way they do it. And then the unlimited start behind us down here, the UTV unlimited. So I'll just have the turbo UTVs in front of me, and then some other classes as well.
That'll be cool. Now you can try to go through the turbo UTVs like you did last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you driving the whole way yourself, or are you going to give the wheel to someone else this year?
No, I'm doing it myself as usual.
And the big question is,
Yeah.
are you going to
And-
beat your husband again?
I'm going to try to beat everybody. I really, really, really want the overall. So I have the overall now at the Baja 500. I've done that twice. So somebody made a nice comment. They're like, well, I have total faith in you because all you have to do is visualize yourself, running the Baja 500, back to back, and overall, it's no big deal, right?
Yeah, just do it twice.
But yeah,
just do
that's
it
a
twice.
good way to look at it.
Yeah. If it were only that easy.
Yeah, just do it twice. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I know. It'll be tough, especially soloing it, but I know it's doable. And I don't doubt the naturally aspirated car and the turbos, because it'll hopefully just keep trucking along.
Especially if you have
our
those,
time just a little bit quicker.
yeah, especially if you have those crazy sections with the slow switchbacks and stuff. That'll give you a little bit of an advantage without any lag.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a ton of it on this course so far. San Felipe, you've got your typical washes and whoops and rocky sections, but it's a lot of fun, and I think my car will do just fine through that as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it could be a really fun race.
It's going to be awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck. We'll let you get back to doing your duties, and hopefully the chiropractor can fix you up. If not, then maybe eat a couple more tacos, maybe satisfy the pain a little bit more too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Wayne and he's got somebody driving for him. His name's Josh Rowe. He's been a quad guy for years, and he races with Wayne every 1,000. That's the one that Wayne doesn't Ironman. So if you'd like to talk to them, they're available tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see here. We got 5 minutes, so yeah.
You have someone else calling in?
Yeah, no, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk with
Let
them.
me grab them.
That's pretty cool. Like, can you imagine?
Okay, perfect.
Can you
Good point.
Can you? Okay, cool. Can you imagine being down there and having something like
No,
that
what's
happen
that?
and having to like just find a chiropractor in Mexico and be able to fix yourself?
Yeah, like you're in San Felipe, though.
Yeah,
They got everything there.
yeah, it's pretty nice down there,
Just have to
right?
reset your entire program at that point because
Hey,
now
Wayne.
you got a wrecked car.
Yeah. Hey, Wayne, what's going on, man? We got George. What's going on, dude? We got George here, and we have Tim and Jeff from UPR.com. They helped Kristen with a CPAT. I don't know if you got one in your car.
I do.
Right on, man. You guys are
I do. I love it.
nice and comfy down there. Hey, so Kristen said she got dinged up a little bit, dude.
Yeah. She went to pass another car, and the guy kind of slid back down the road as she went by.
So she was in front of
It
you.
happened.
She was in front of you,
No,
right?
no, she was behind.
Oh, okay.
Hey, so how's things going with you down there? You guys doing pretty good?
Yeah, everything's going good. Yeah, we haven't had any real big mishaps or anything like that. So
You guys been
Just
eating a lot of good
trucking along.
tacos?
actually, I haven't had any tacos yet.
Dude, that's
But yeah, good food, good restaurants.
right on, man. And the cars are doing pretty good as well. Is Craig with you? Is Scanlon with you guys?
Yeah. No, Scalen's over on the coast side. We got Keith over here with us.
Oh, okay.
Redstone.
So you guys are pre-running a
Yeah.
little bit different time frame?
Yeah, because Craig's driving the first 440, and then Keith gets in and drives to like 820 or something like that. So Keith's over here in the San Felipe side right now. So we're doing a big giant loop from the start all the way back around. So
It sounds like
tomorrow we're going to go from like what's that?
the track or the course is quite a bit different if you guys are doing that much different stuff this year.
It is different, and some of it's the same. Some of it's the same as we did for the Baja 500. Some of it's the same as we did for the 1,000 last year. And then they have quite a bit of new stuff that no one's ever raced on at all. I've been coming down here. This is my 20th Baja 1000, and there's some stuff that I've never seen.
Really?
So it makes it a lot of fun.
Dude, that's super cool. Well, thanks for coming on and just giving us a little bit of an update, dude. We appreciate you and Kristen taking the time out for us. It's much, much appreciated, like I said.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it.
All right, bud. Well, yeah, hopefully Kristen gets dialed in with the chiropractor and you guys kick some ass this year, dude. Keep it up.
Yeah. yeah, hopefully they get a wrist pop back in and should be good to go.
All right, man. I didn't know it was that gnarly, but yeah, like I said,
Ouch.
kick some butt this year, guys.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. See you, Wayne.
All right. See you, Wayne. Good luck.
All right, take care. Bye.
Dan, can you believe that? Like, so you've been down there a few times. Like, is it nerve-wracking when something like that happens, and then all of a sudden you got this whole different course? Like, so all these new things are happening in 1 year.
Well, it's pretty surprising that there's new sections that he's been going down there a long time that no one's ever seen before. But that's a lot of hard work by Score. Roger's down there mixing it up, and they just ran the 500, ran 250 laps basically.
Dang,
and then to find new trails, and then all the logistics and all the people you got to talk to and the permissions you got to get. That's a pretty big deal. So
Finding a bunch of new dirt, that's got to, there's a lot of dirt down there, but finding a lot of dirt that you can use.
Yeah, and that you can legally go on and have an actual race course that's safe and stuff. Man, that is a good thing. So Richard HPR Harding said, good luck to the team down there, the Matlock team. And, we really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Thanks very much. It looks like Alfonso was probably going to ask Kristen, what is it like being in the car for that long? You have been in the car for a pretty long time, Jeff, too.
Yeah. I haven't gone 800 miles straight, but that's a heck of a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you got to be in shape.
What's it like doing 500 miles?
Well, it's you get pretty wiped out, but I think you keep. I've never done 500 straight. I've probably done 400 in a long day.
Yeah.
But it's you got to be in your car and hydrated properly, and you got to be paying attention. So I have a hard time paying attention for more than 5 minutes. So, but once you get behind the wheel, I guess and you're completely focused for that amount of time. It's not only physically demanding, but mentally it's brutal.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and she's in a UTV, and she said she was going to try and do it in 22 hours.
That's insane fast.
22 hours.
That's like super, super fast, man.
I'm tired after 2 hours.
I know. Even sitting at the computer, I'm tired after 2 hours, right? We got Zach Jeffers from Side by Side Guys calling in. What's up, dude? How are you?
How's it going, boys? How are you feeling down there in the Southwest?
Dude, it's been windy as heck, man. But it's been nice. Like, the weather's been super good to go riding and stuff. And tonight we were talking about everybody's been going to the dunes, and obviously there's a lot of racing that's been happening. So we're kind of talking about safety and comfort and setting up UTVs.
Awesome. Well, up here in the Northwest where we're based, we're looking at some freezing temperatures, some 34-degree rain, and some snow on the ground. So
you should move.
We're sitting here in short sleeves and shorts.
Yeah,
with the AC on.
I never said I wasn't in
sunshine this morning to get out of my driveway.
I never said I wasn't in shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, there you go.
Man, so what's been going on with you guys, man? Have you guys had, you guys have obviously been doing a lot of stuff with the Side by Side Guys podcast and the different media things that you've been doing, but trying to stay along this theme of safety and stuff, have you guys been seeing any new builds or anything new coming out that would reckon, some safety equipment?
Yeah, so we just come off, like we've talked before, about some long trips that we've done. And recently we've been getting out to, some dune events out at Coos Bay, Oregon, and then Sand Hollow, Utah, where there's a bunch of rock crawling, things like that. But at these events, we do a lot of different showcase type things where we do Wheelie Fest or Huck Fest, things like that. And so there's a couple scenarios where people need to think about safety, right? So in Wheelie Fest, you just think that you pop your car up and get the wheels off the ground. But we had one guy hit his rear bumper and yard sale his razor all over the course. So it's not always an easy, it's not always an easy peasy type deal. And then you also have Huck Fest where these guys are trying to go for long distances and they're doing some pretty hard impacts on landing, getting a little rodeo at the end, things like that, right? So, a lot of these events are open to anybody that want to participate with them, and safety is a big concern. And they have some requirements, wear your helmet, you got to have at least a 4-point, you got to have, things like that. But when it comes to some of these things, the seat is a very understated piece of safety equipment, and you guys are sitting in a few seats right now. And George, you went through a whole ordeal getting fitted for a correct seat for your Worlds run. Can you guys speak a little bit to maybe some different types of seats and how that varies, and against how maybe somebody that is just doing some desert racing versus maybe somebody that's doing some hard landings versus maybe somebody that's out doing trail rides, what they're looking for in a good, safe seat outside of stock?
Sure. A lot of good questions there. So, first of all, that list of
Well, I
things
think
you
the
went
first
through,
thing is just getting the right size, right?
yeah,
Yeah, definitely fitting the seat is the most
right. But
important
so
thing.
he went through, the guys doing Huckfest, desert racing, the Duners, and all those, and those you guys are all of those guys are capable of taking huge hits,
Yeah.
right? And so, and the most dangerous situations are the guys who are just at the dunes, who never expect to take those big hits. If you race, you expect to take big hits, so you set up differently. So the worst thing is when you don't expect one of those big hits
Yeah.
and you take it. So really, your safety equipment should be the best you can afford, no matter what you're in, no matter what you're doing. So that definitely, first off, I'd like to say, and we can help you on the phone answering some of those questions, because a lot of those guys don't necessarily, all the tech inspectors, they all have different backgrounds and they're all looking for different things, but we have a lot of experience for off-road, so we can probably help you get through tech too. So as far as this, what type of seats you're looking for, like we're sitting in the Sparkle brand. We've always used Sparkle brand. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and a lot of in the racing industry and the UTV specific, a lot of people are building a pretty good products for the but for the UTVs, like George said, you really need to make sure they fit properly. So like Sparko has 20 different size seats. And obviously there's just all kinds of different sizes and shapes people.
And we're going to go a
running
little
these
bit more
things.
into detail with it, Zach, a little bit later too. Tim's actually sitting in a seat that they do all of their fitting with for the heights of the harnesses and belts and where you position things. So we're going to do a little bit of that later after we kind of brush the surface of some of this stuff. But I think the general consensus is just getting something that helps you. I mean, like, you can sit in a million recliners before you go buy one to watch TV, right? But you always pick the one that's the most comfortable for you, or like grabs your arms or your legs or whatever the best. It's kind of the same thing. You just need to be comfortable and make sure that you're fitted properly.
And when I'm talking to people about seats, one of the first things that I talk to them about is, where those straps fall on their shoulders. And I think talking about the right size seat has a lot to do with where those straps fall for your harnesses. So, should it be horizontal with your shoulders, or should it be just slightly above your shoulders, or what a lot of people do, which is a little bit lower than your shoulders?
Well, I think I would definitely not have it lower than my shoulders ever. Like, there's no reason for it. And currently, I think most people say, 10 degrees below or 10 degrees above, but you're never going to go wrong having them level, right? So the last thing you want is your shoulder harness is pulling down if you're tightening your belts and it's pulling down on your shoulders, it's preloading your spine. When you're tightening your shoulder harnesses, you want it pulling you back in the seat, not down in the seat. Your lap belt should pull you down, and we can show that in a few minutes. But it's it's like loading your suspension before you drop the front end into a hole, right? I mean, you just have no suspension. So if you're preloading your spine and you hit a big ditch or hit a G out or whatever, your spine's already compressed, so you don't have a chance. And that's where I think most of the off-road injuries happen. A lot of people break vertebrae in their lumbar. We see a lot of L3, L4.
Yeah.
Because, they're basically just compacting their spine, but they're already preloading it because their seatbelts, their shoulder harnesses are adjusted wrong. So you definitely always want your shoulder harnesses just pulling you back. If they're pulling you down, like 90% of the ones we see out there set up, then it's wrong. But the way the roll cages are set up, a lot of times you have to do some modifications to get your seatbelts in the right position. But it's worth it.
It's worth it 100%, especially when side by sides, Zach, this, like, they're made for us to have fun with our friends, right? Like 90% of the people that are in a side-by-side are going out with their kids in the back in a four-seater and their wife in the passenger seat. Like, it's not like your normal passenger car. You're not driving a minivan. Like, you're hitting some pretty serious stuff. Even if you're not jumping, some of those G-outs and stuff at the dunes or in some of the rides that you guys do are pretty gnarly.
Yeah, you got to really think about the fact that you're not just in a truck going down the street, right? You're in an off-road vehicle, and you're gonna more times than not push yourself further than you maybe sometimes are comfortable for, and you're gonna find yourselves in precarious positions and at speed. So that kind of leads me to one of my other questions for you guys. Is a lot of people are buying these seats in bulk. They're not buying just one seat for the driver, right? They're buying 2 seats or 4 seats so that they all match. And so what you start seeing is these generic shells where it's just a flat back, kind of a flat lower with some bolstering on the side. It's kind of like the industry standard framing for a seat, right? When you're talking to a lot of these guys that are coming from, they're older in life, they used to ride motorcycles or whatever, and they've got maybe some back issues, some neck issues, things like that. Is there a better solution than just the standard frame that most companies are making out there? Is there something that can be more supportive of posture and seating position, things like that, and make the experience more comfortable for everybody in the ride?
Well, there's enough seats out there on the market that you can actually go through, like going with the Sparco brand. Not that everybody's putting 4 Sparco seats in their car, but we have done it where the adults are sitting in a different seat in the front, and dad's 6'2" and 240 pounds. So he's in one seat. The wife's 5'6" and 115 pounds, and she's in a different size seat. And so they'll put, just 2 matching seats in the back, and they're able to match it up. But even coming out with some of the other brands, HSP and Simpson and everybody else that are making their seats, they're making wide body seats. They can adjust the way the height of it. The problem is that there's, some of these seats that are coming in just out of containers, and you buy 4 seats for, $1,000 or $1,200. And that's where people are going to be running into the problem, is when they're, focusing on a price of just trying to buy a bunch of cheap seats to put in the car and not really thinking about their own safety when they're coming to it, because you see some guys that are just not in the proper seat, and, but then he tells you, well, I spent $1,500 on them.
That's actually a good point to bring up, though, is like Jeff and I have talked about this, or you guys have talked about this with me a bunch of times, is, and Zach, you can definitely get along with this, is the stock setup, even if it's a over-the-shoulder seatbelt, is not as bad as a misconfigured harness
Absolutely.
setup.
Right.
So if you have the wrong harnesses, or you have the setup in all your cool shit, you could still have a way better,
Right.
safer time with the stock setup.
If the seatbelts are adjusted properly, the stock belts are, they can work. So is your question, some seats are better quality than others? Absolutely. Or, so I know there's a lot of the US made stuff that's super high quality. I think if you want a racing seat, you're going to buy a Sparco, or or a similar brand to a Sparco. If you're in a play car and you want to, match a certain colorway on your UTV, which is completely understandable, you can still buy a high quality seat, as long as when you're ordering them, you understand how to size them, which is huge. And then when you get whatever that seat is, if you set the harnesses up right, you're 90% there. But what happens is you buy a whole package, and then the seat belts get set up wrong, and then you hurt your back, and then they blame it on the seat. So I'm not a huge fan. It's pretty well documented of suspension seats, but I will say a properly set up suspension seat, works pretty darn well. The problem with them is there's not a whole lot of adjustment for the seatbelt heights where they come over your shoulders. A lot of times there's just a slot, or the slot is too low, so you just don't have a lot of adjustability in a lot of the suspension seats. So you almost can't set your seatbelts up right, and so really, then you don't have a chance, and then you get hurt, and they blame it on the seat. It's really not the seat; it's the seatbelt setup. So not necessarily poor quality seatbelt, but just how they're attached. So I mean, that's just huge.
You've probably seen a bunch of that stuff, Zach.
So you mentioned, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of guys that are getting these generic seats that are good for mud and water and cool air and all that stuff, and it's more for comfort than it is safety, right? I'm curious, when you're talking about setting it up and seeing the mistakes, what are some of the common installation mistakes that people make when they do install these seats? Because the UTV industry is mostly self-sufficient. We mostly install things ourselves. What are some of the common mistakes that you've run across that maybe we can be more prepared to avoid?
The most common is the shoulder harness setup. It's like, it sounds like I'm exaggerating when I say 90%, but I'm actually not. I really want to say 99%. They're all set up wrong. But from the factory, even you buy a new race car, a new trophy truck, or whatever it is, the engineers build the chassis and put the bar behind the seats where the bar behind the seats should go based on the engineering. It's not, and that's where the harnesses go. That bar's not put there based on the height of the driver and what type of seat it's going to put in it. So we see it all the time. And so we're constantly manipulating that bar height or talking to people about adding another bar. So on the UTVs, even from the factory, the bar behind the seats isn't set up at the right height to add a 4-point shoulder harness for. And then the companies are selling kits to bolt a harness on it. And that if that bar's not in the right place, then the harness isn't going to be in the right place. You just don't have a chance, but it's a big job to change it. We do have a part that we've come up with, that actually doesn't work on everything, but you can actually weld it to the rear bar and it gives you 3 inches of adjustability.
Yeah. Up or down.
So when you're buying a UTV, it's not like they can size the UTV for every different size driver. But from the factory, they're pretty close. And actually, I've recently got a Razor, and I was pretty impressed with how the seatbelts were set up from the factory. It looks like there's a little bit of adjustment in them. But I'm going to change the seats in them and put a cage on it. And so the
that's
bar
what everybody
needs to be in the
does,
right
though.
spot.
Everybody
does it. So
all you rich guys.
yeah. If you have if someone's building your cage, have the seats with you so they have an understanding of where to put the shoulder harness height.
Or
but you
make
might
some
have
brackets
multiple,
or buy some brackets that you can
yeah,
adjust
or
it.
get the brackets. But the thing is, you drive it, you and the wife drive it, you're different heights, the kids drive it. It's tough to readjust the seatbelts every time someone gets in and out of the car, but it's not impossible. And these are set up on a pin that comes out pretty easily. If you get it within a pretty close range with the variety of the people driving them, the UTVs, assuming they're not 8 inches difference in height, then you're probably going to be a lot closer. But I would say shoulder harness setup is the number one problem. And then from that, people, if they're buying a 5-point harness, they're not using the sub belt. And what the sub belt is really for is to pull against the shoulder harnesses can pull against the sub belt. They need something to pull against. If the sub belt's not connected and you pull down on your shoulder harnesses, all it does is lift up on your lap belt. So it's kind of funny. We can watch someone put their seatbelts on and immediately tell what's wrong. And most people will get in, and if they know what they're doing, they'll tighten their lap belt, and then they'll tighten their shoulder harness, and their shoulder harness will pull up their lap belt because their sub belt's not on. So they loosen their shoulder harness to make their lap belt more comfortable. So then all your belts are loose because you're trying to make it comfortable. You really, without the sub belt pulling against your shoulder harness, it's really hard to do it properly. But not everyone's going to. A lot of people are buying 4-point harnesses, which are fine. But you just got to make sure you crank your lap belts first. And if your shoulder harnesses are set up properly, you can tighten them without it hurting your belts,
Right.
Or hurting your shoulders. So if your shoulder harnesses are hurting your shoulders, then they're probably not set up right. And that's why they sell all the shoulder harnesses with pads. Right. I've never used seatbelt pads.
Yeah, you don't need
in an off-road car. You don't need them. And I mean, I've raced some stuff with some really bad suspension on them. If your seatbelts are set up properly, you shouldn't have to have shoulder pads. There's nothing wrong with shoulder pads if you're using them in a play car. But just the
The
first
ladies
key
always
is-
like the shoulder pads, dude.
Well,
Well,
if you're,
but they're
if your
all the
arms-
belts are wrong. I mean,
but all their belts are wrong.
you see a lot of those the factory retractable shoulder harnesses. I don't know if Polaris has them. I know the Can-Am does. But you see people
Polaris
get in
has them.
the factory retractable ones.
Can-Am guy and Polaris guy next to each other.
I look at the people, but a lot of times you see people, they get in there and they do their belts, and then they, and they retract, and then they tighten them down a little bit, and then they latch up their lap, and then it's, suddenly
Right.
halfway up their chest. And that's a problem. And because most of the time, if you're over 6 feet tall, like in a Can-Am, I'm above my seatbelt holes.
Yeah.
So I haven't even put seatbelts on my side.
Right.
I mean, my co-rider is about 5'0".
Mm-hmm.
So she fits, with PRP belts on
She's
her
good.
side. That's
Yeah.
fine because she's down below the holes and everything's fine. But for me to put it on there,
It's worse.
You're better off with a factory belt.
It'd be pulling me
sometimes.
down. So I just use the factory 3-point, no matter how bad I try and kill us.
How
We're
many?
pretty good salespeople, huh? We're saying the factory stuff is better. I mean, it just shows you where we're coming from.
Well, that's
we're
what
just telling you what's safer. So when we sell safety, we're not engineering our stuff for price, and we'll tell you if it's wrong. And even if you don't buy it from us,
At least
that's
you know.
the way it goes. At least you know, but you're going to get the truth from us, even if it unfortunately costs us some money sometimes.
The whole idea is not to find out somebody you talk to on the phone or a buddy of somebody has been hurt.
Right.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thanks, Zach. I really appreciate you calling in.
Great
bud.
question, Zach.
Yeah, fantastic questions.
Yeah, a lot
dude.
of knowledge.
Yeah, we got plenty more. Just hit us up.
Cool, dude. Well, we'll keep getting you on the show, dude. If you guys haven't checked it out, check out the Side by Side Guys
I've seen
podcast and stuff too. He does a very, very good job over there. So we got Jesse Nelson calling in just a sec, Zach. So thanks, bud.
Yeah, just a real quick shout out. We have your buddy Steve Bachar from Rugged Radio
Oh,
goes on the podcast coming out tomorrow. So check that out.
Nice. We'll definitely have to check that out. All right, bud. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
See ya. Nice, dude. That'll be pretty cool. That is going to be a fun podcast to listen to.
Call in.
It's pretty crazy that that we can talk about this stuff. Like, I can't wait to get to have you show how to set up some of these seat things. Like, it's going to be so cool to see it, because when I went through the process with you, like setting up anything, any of the cars that you've set up for me, I had zero idea about any of this stuff when I went into it. I was the total UTV guy with knowledge of thinking I was driving a minivan in the street when just jumping in a UTV and going fast, right? And it baffles me to this day still that I was so I don't know what you want to call it, negligent pretty much to my safety and to my comfort.
Well, off-road's tough because like Tim and I see it all the time, right? Like, we're explaining stuff to people that you would think they would know, but the reality is off-road guys come off dirt bikes,
Right.
So if you come off a dirt bike and you get in an off-road car, like, you think you're safe, you know what I mean? And the other thing with off-road guys is, like, whether you came off a dirt bike or whatever, off-road racers have never been sent home from tech, right?
That's a good
you sign up, your car's not safe. I'm not good or bad. You know what I mean? You know the tech advisor or whatever, and most of them are great people, and they'll advise you, and they might tell you something's wrong and to fix it. But the reality is, you can show up the next time.
Yeah, fix it next time, or fix
And
it
then-
for next year.
And they're going to see it, and they're doing a good job. Like, Ultra 4 and Score and Best in the Desert, those guys, like, we talk to those guys quite a bit, and I think some of those, they're just doing a really good job trying, but the reality is they understand how it is to be a racer, and it's like, they don't want to tell you go spend another $200, $500, $1,000 when you spent so much money to get there. So most of the time they're going to pass you through tech with a stern warning. But road racing and a lot of other types of racing, they'll send you home.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I've been sent home from tech before for like being barely out of spec on things. It's just, so I come from a different background or have some different experiences where they'll send you home.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they don't care. Like, they're like, if you're wrong, you're wrong. So, which I think, sometimes would be good, but we just really like to get the word out there and try to help people before they get through tech and have a problem, so they can get through tech, number one, and then be safe.
Well, one of the people that we want you to help out and get through tech is on the line now with us. His name's Jesse Nelson. He's a ex-professional motocross racer, and now he's racing side-by-sides, doing a killer job, actually. And, Jesse, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys, what's happening?
Oh, we're just talking about safety and racing and stuff. We're actually talking about some of the ways that people set up their cars and how sometimes stock stuff is actually better than a badly set up trail riding setup or whatever. But yours is a little different because you really want to get your cockpit set up good. Jeff was just talking about motocross and how those guys come over. What kind of stuff have you seen with your setup that you could use help with?
Actually, there's quite a bit of things that I need to change. I would really like to have everything feel at home. Like every time I get into, actually I sold it, but my old race car, it was, everything felt so foreign. Like nothing was comfortable. Like I could do okay in it, but I just knew nothing felt how I wanted it. I was never comfortable. Like when I'd get in my Turbo S, my play car or whatever, and a 2-seater, it felt great. Everything was nice and tight, and I liked the way it handled. The suspension was good, things like that. But then I get my race car, and it's just awkward in there. It's tight. It's weird. The seat's just not mounted right. It's got a little bit of a kick from the front. It's just little things that just really irritate. And it's not perfect. And and you're going racing, you want everything to be, like that baseball glove that just fits you perfectly. And I just haven't found that yet. And I'm trying to look at different options, things like that. I know you guys, we're talking about some safety stuff, seats and harnesses and things like that too. I think just getting the right person to give me some pointers and just say, hey, here's how it should be set up. Here's what we can do, whether we can do.
Yeah, a lot of it's ends up being in your seat position. That's what, when we go to do a seat for somebody, we'll sit there and, have a conversation with where you're going to sit and how you're going to sit. Are you sitting off to the side compared to the pedals? So like that. Yeah. Jeff will spend, we'll spend 10, 15 minutes figuring out how you sit. And that's why a lot of these custom seat inserts, we end up, putting you in and out of the car itself 2, 3, 4 times and getting you in different positions.
10.
Or 10. And finding the correct position before we'll ever do a seat pour, and then pouring it on the outside. So that's kind of, that's a big part of it. And, Jeff just spent 4 or 5 hours just getting Ray Griffith into the proper position in BJ Baldwin's trophy truck. I mean, those guys are 6 or 8 inches different in height.
Yep. And a lot of times you don't know how comfortable you can be because you've never even been close.
That's one of the truest statements that I've ever heard.
I heard a rumor that Jeff got a hug after doing that seat insert.
Yeah, Ray was pretty happy. So is what I'll do. Sorry to
comfortability.
Yeah, so I'll sit someone in a seat and just taking Ray for example. He was so excited to be able to properly see over the hood without straining or hanging onto the steering wheel. I got him in a position where he said he was good, and I knew he was better than he's ever been, but I'm looking at him, tell me he's good and he'd been in and out of the truck a bunch, and I'd made 1/4-inch adjustments and had all kinds of foam in and out and different things to do, but I knew he wasn't comfortable as he could be. So I just asked him a couple questions, and I knew he needed lumbar support just because he kept sitting there and moving, but it never even occurred to him what he needed because he's never been comfortable in a race car. So I just talked to him for a minute and said, all right, so just close your eyes and quit focusing on the fact that you can see over the hood finally, and just sit there. I got to go cut some foam. I was lying. I said, I'll be back in a minute. And then I'll talk to you again. And then I come back and talk to him. And after he quit focusing on one thing, he found 2 or 3 other little things that we fixed and made it perfect. So
Jesse knows all about that though. Like they'll do like total like mind fuck to him in Supercross and motocross and stuff. Be like, dude, my suspension sucks.
Well-
All right, we'll fix it. Go in the truck, and it'll come out and be the exact same thing.
Right.
And like he clears his mind, and it's better.
Right.
Tires
well,
aren't balanced.
Yeah.
Bring it around the building.
Yeah, we've dealt with customers like that too. But sometimes that's it, right? I mean, sometimes you make so many changes, you don't know where it is, and you gotta reset.
Yeah, that's
I suggested to Jesse that he just bring his two cars over. It's an 8-hour drive. He can just come hang out for the day. We go eat some tacos.
I would bring him tomorrow. If I had him ready, I would bring him tomorrow because I've been looking for. I mean, I love my seats. Don't get me wrong, but I just know they're just not exactly what I need. And like for me, it's not like I'm going to be pushing it into the floorboard with my feet or something different. It's like that. My seating position is like everything, and I've been sitting on as far as getting a little bit of extra comfort or a little bit extra fitment, I've been sitting on a gel pad from Walmart. Like that's what I use.
Terrible.
It's just like.
I don't know if you have the live feed on right now, Jesse, but
not right.
we're showing one of the UPR seat pads. This is the truck one. They also have a UTV one that's a little thinner, but this seat pad is an insane improvement just if you get this and don't do anything else. Like the way that it supports your back and lumbar and stuff is crazy because of the thickness and the foam and the way that it helps you.
Yeah, we developed that from our custom seat inserts because the seat inserts are expensive and we have to typically travel to go do one, and they're it's just not with one, not everyone has time for it, not everyone really needs it. So we've solved a whole bunch of problems, most problems with just the right size pad, and then we can space these up and down and move them around a little bit, and seating position. So if you fit your seat, we can get you way better with one of these. These have different densities of foam in them, so you progress. It's kind of like a bypass shock. We call it a bypass for your ass. So it's got firmer foam in the bottom of it, so you'll never bottom out on the seat. You say you're using a gel pad. Some people think they can use memory foam, but memory foam has memory. So
Right,
you
Just
sit on
smashes
it,
down and it's done.
it packs down. It's really the worst thing you can use. Then you're on something solid, really. It's the worst thing you can use.
I definitely think Jesse would benefit huge from having a custom insert, but anybody can benefit from that seat pad.
Yeah. If you're the only one in the car, we should be able to set your seat up. I mean, I'm working on my car right now. I worked on it all weekend, most of the weekend, getting the seating position right. And we've bought a whole bunch of brackets and different things from people, and the seats honestly, most of them set the seat up too high. A lot of them have a ton of flex in them. We were working with one that George had for his for that R1, and we just changed it, built a bracket. Hopefully, we can put them into production that gets the seat, much lower and without any flex. So when the bracket's moving around a bunch, a lot of these brackets have 3-4 pieces to put them together. They just move around a whole bunch. They're just make it really tough to get a good
so Jesse, you saw some of the RS1 stuff that we did. So I had bought like some aftermarket just seat brackets that I thought were going to work, that I could just like pop in the car, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to have to deal with it because I only got one race.
Well-known brand.
Yeah, super well-known brand. I'm not going to name
well-known company.
Yeah, and it was
that's good.
It was $700, and I was like, okay, cool, like. I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to, I'll be good. And so I threw it in there, and I brought it down to Jeff, and he goes, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you just got hurt.
No bad
I don't
words.
want to see you get hurt again. Like, he was so upset that I was going to use this thing that he went and obviously made it a lot better for me, but he took it to the next level, and now he's doing it so he can make brackets that are super safe for all the razors and all the side-by-sides. It's awesome.
I'm all ears. And like I said, I don't have much experience. So like when it comes to setting a car up or setting a lot of these things, like I don't even know. Like I don't know where the seat's supposed to be. Like,
know.
Of course, for me, naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not a dirt bike. I mean, naturally, like I want to be over the front and like I want to see above the steering wheel and like how you. But I guess that's not always the ticket. But it's just that learning,
Well, so what I would talk to a dirt bike guy about is like really when you're loose in your seat, you're hanging onto the steering wheel with your arms. So you're knowing you're probably getting arm pump driving your UTV.
It's like riding without your knees on the
That's
tank.
exactly what it is. That's what I say. If it's like not using your knees. You know what I mean? On the tank, you're using all arm
Yeah.
to hold yourself in it, and then with your left leg, you're probably pushing yourself back in the seat. You're just kicking your own ass for all of those miles. Is all UTVs are super easy to drive. Is all you have to do is steer. I mean, the brakes typically are pretty good. There's not a lot of pedal pressure. It's easy to push the gas. I mean, they're super easy to drive. You should not get worn out driving a UTV if you're set up properly.
Yeah.
But if you're bracing yourself, keeping yourself in the seat, every corner you go around, every bump you hit, if you're moving around in your seat, every bump you hit it 3 times.
We know you
up and down.
You're working on your race program right now, aren't you, Jesse? When are you going to have your cars kind of in the position to be able to maybe take a drive out here and have Jeff take a look at it?
Yeah, I would, like I said, I'd be there tomorrow if I could. I am kind of at someone else's mercy right now. I'm building a new RS1 for racing season 21. And yeah, like you hit the nail on the head too, as well. We're talking about sliding around. And like, for me, I don't have the use of my legs. So it's not like I'm pushing off the seat. So like, if I'm not stable, I'm always fighting it. And that's how I always feel. So I'm so uncomfortable the entire race. And then I have hand controls for a brake and for a throttle. So I'm always moving my hands and everything around. And it sucks when you're kind of sliding around and you don't have like,
yeah, we can help you. We've done this.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that we've done this thing.
Yeah. But it's the first time that a lot of our audience, and Jesse, first of all, has ever heard of this stuff. So I'm really excited to see. Like, Jesse would be a good thing to video. Maybe I could come down. We could video it all and stuff. But dude, that would be super cool to get you in here and get you stoked on your car. Like I was telling everybody else, the first time I saw Jesse drive at a works race, it looked like he was driving a Razor, like with the dirt bikes. Like he was doubling braking bumps and like doing such crazy stuff. Like the first thing that I said to him when he got back, I'm like, dude, we gotta get this car comfy for you. Like, because to see him
safe
at the next level would just be amazing.
Yeah, you're not going to do it flopping around in your seat.
At least, no, it's miserable. And like, that's another thing where I didn't do the last couple of rounds. I sold my car. Well, because COVID was kind of all over the place as well. And then
we can solve that problem too.
It's getting a little tired.
Yeah, we know how to fix that. Once you're at one with the car too, that's a whole different thing. We hear that from people all the time. Is once they get into a proper fitting seat and they're in a proper position and they're not bracing with their, everybody braces with their left leg and pushing back on it. You can go so much faster to the point where you're changing your suspension because you're now feeling what the car's doing instead of flopping around.
It's been that drastic of an improvement?
I heard a rumor.
Oh,
I heard a rumor one time that you go 10 miles an hour faster through the whoops out in Prim in a properly set up seat.
Dang, that's crazy.
These guys are going almost 150 miles an hour now.
That's
just
nuts.
because of you.
Proper positioning.
Yeah, we'll give all the credit to Tim. It's all Tim.
I don't know.
60%.
As soon as I get that car, I will drive out there.
Okay, sounds good, man. We can have some tacos too. We're gonna treat you to a Sonoran dog. Have you ever had a Sonoran dog?
No, it sounds disgusting.
It's not a joke. Right answer though.
Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it's
a real thing. That's a guy that's been on the wrong end of a bunch of those jokes.
Yeah, it's fallen for it more than once.
Yeah,
you're always that guy.
That car, I'd gladly drive out there.
Bring the play car too, so we can show some stuff with the play car as well. Because we're talking about racing because it's all fundamental for us, and like we really know a lot about racing. But these same things, like the next time I get a play car, I want to get a 4-seater just because I want to take a bunch of people out and stuff. And so the next time I get a play car, I'm going to come down here and just learn with these guys on how to set that bad boy up too.
Yeah, that's key. Is knowing is half the battle. And then I was going to ask them as well. So if I get a seat cushion made or a setup made for my RS1, could I take the seat cushion out that goes into my Sparco seat and put it into my play car?
Yes. If we set the seat in the same, if it's the same seat.
Perfect in the play car.
Well, it can be though.
Still has to be the same seat.
It's got to be the same seat. And as long as we have both cars at the same as long as we have both cars, you can just make the seating position the same. So yeah, for sure.
Well, just the only thing that's different is one's a 2-seater and then one's the RS1.
Yeah.
But
We
the
just
play car,
adjust
I'm
the
not
seat
too
right.
concerned about being absolutely perfect.
Why not?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but the race car should be.
But it can be perfect.
Hey, so Jeff, that's like, and not bagging on Jesse here, but that's what most people think, dude. It doesn't have to be like, as long as I'm okay, like,
Nah.
people
Doesn't
shouldn't
have
think
to be perfect.
Yeah, people shouldn't think like that. Like, you shouldn't be satisfied
I
with
don't.
it. Like,
I don't say good. I don't say good enough. It's just at our house that's not okay. You
easy
don't
to-
say good enough because that means you know it can be better. And if you know it can be better, fix it.
And it's
Dude.
easy enough to make it that way.
Yeah,
That's
we
why
know
I
how
li-
to do it.
that's why I
So-
like Jeff so much.
Hey, Jesse, do you have a problem with your legs moving around a lot, flopping around on you?
No, I got a bungee cord and
Yep.
some
I knew that
pipe
was coming.
insulation, and I just strap them in with that. But I need something better.
Yeah.
I need to find something, but it's been a struggle trying to get everything set up, and then also trying to prep and build my cars myself, and it's been a lot of work.
Yeah.
But taking a step back, getting everything really in line for this year to where it's going to be streamlined and everything will be good.
Well, we've worked with several moto guys with the same challenges you've got, and it's
Yep.
really you. We can get you so that won't be a disadvantage.
Yeah, at
Like,
all.
So you can charge right through.
I'll tell you what, Jesse, when they first made me that seat pad, I could not believe it, dude. Like, I was smiling ear to ear.
I can only. I've been searching for something, and I just know I'm not comfortable, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
All right, homie, we got to answer a whole bunch of questions and stuff, but let's definitely keep in touch so we can get you guys all set up once your car arrives and stuff, and then you can drive out here and they can get you all dialed in.
Okay. I have a question for you.
Yo.
Anybody on the line? All right.
Yeah.
You're a pretty smart guy. How do you spell yes?
How do you spell yes?
Yeah.
Y-E-S?
How do you spell eyes?
I didn't hear that last question. What was it?
I think he's tricking you
How do you
into the
spell
Sonoran dog.
Ice?
Eyes, like your eye.
E-Y-E-S.
You're gonna say yes.
What?
All right. Just checking. I was just checking.
I don't get
You
it.
got it.
I don't get it. I still don't
There's
get
some
it.
static on the line, George.
Okay.
There's a little
fine.
static.
So,
No, it must be static.
all right. I don't get it, but maybe I just got had. I'll just go with it along with it, dude. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it, bud.
All right, anytime, guys, and thank you. I'll keep in touch. Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
are.
Later, man.
Get hold of us, Jesse.
So, so we only got a minute before James Jaramillo is going to call in, but man, it's crazy to think that he's a professional motocrosser. He's a badass all-around driver. Like, his skills behind a steering wheel or handlebars is like bar none, right? Like a lot of the guys that you deal with, and he doesn't know. Just like I didn't know. Just like 90% of the guys that call you have no idea. It's so crazy for me to think. And we're still focusing kind of on the racing world, but this is every single person that gets in a UTV. Like, it's astonishing to me, and we have some comments that just came in, like, to understand that all of these people are not necessarily putting themselves at risk because we don't know what they're driving like or anything, but they could do it so much better.
Right.
It's freaking nuts, man. So let's go through some of these comments at least. Alfonso Jimenez said, I put harnesses in my stock cage and stock seats, hit a G out, and basically got throat punched. Thought I was being safe.
Sounds like he was using a sternum strap.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, because it probably came up and one of those ones that's like a little backpack clicker or whatever.
So
Or
the
he
reason
went
they have
down.
sternum straps is to mask the bad setup, to be honest with you. Because if your seatbelt harnesses are set up properly, you shouldn't need to hold them together.
Right.
So that would mean I would guess they're probably going around the seat, and so they're spreading apart. And the
Right.
reality is that's just a Band-Aid for a bad setup.
And you can move 6, 8, 10 inches depending on how it is.
Your
Like, you'd be so
racing
surprised.
harness, like a 3-inch harness, will stretch 6 inches at least on a good impact.
Dude, that's
and then your
nuts.
body will stretch another 6 inches.
That's
so you
crazy.
can move a foot easily.
That's so crazy, man. Well,
And then if the shoulder harnesses fall off your shoulders because they're coming over the seats, I think that's what
which a
happened
lot of
to
the UTV seats have
Tyler.
that, yeah.
that's
They're
what happened
terrible.
to Tyler when he broke his back in that RS1 last year.
And his
the
sternum
Dune.
because he chicken winged him.
Yeah,
Oh.
chicken winged him, and
Well, Alfonso, give them a call over here at UPR and see what they have to say about some of your setup.
And you can fire some pictures of it, and we can try to give you some tips. I know everyone doesn't have the means to, refabricate their car, but I mean, we can definitely give you some tips and try to help you as best we can.
Yeah, at least to get it to a certain level. Like you said before, like you're here to help more than you're here to sell a seat.
I
like,
wouldn't say that.
But the good part about it is that you can do both.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
we want to help you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So
there's options of using the stock seat if it doesn't have holes for the seatbelt to come through it, and you just got them thrown over the back. We've repurposed some Sparco pieces. The pieces
These
like
pieces
behind
are
you.
available.
right.
And you can put those in your seat.
And to adjust it, like Jeff made some little custom brackets that actually clamped onto my cage for the RS1, like so he didn't have to weld anything on. Like, it was awesome. And Kelsey Fitz had chimed in too and said, "Can these inserts be used in stock UTV seats? I think the kids could benefit a lot from having these versus the hard plastic boosters that they have now."
So I guess the answer would be yes. And I know your kids are priceless, but to do a stock UTV seat with an insert would be, anything's possible.
You'd probably want to hear more about the setup. And
Yeah,
make sure.
I think you'd be better off replacing the seat with a smaller seat designed for a kid, and setting that up properly. But yeah, it's tough. The kids are tough because you want to take them, and they're in booster seats, and I don't have a ton of experience with that. We'd have to look at it. My kids used to ride in the back of something with a booster seat, but we could probably help you if you're in the area or you send us.
There are those kids seats out there that are made to mount into the aftermarket suspension seats. I think I know HSPA makes them. I'm pretty sure Simpson and some of those other guys do that strap into those seats. But I don't think you're going to do really well on a factory plastic seat. Like I've looked at my factory Can-Am seat 5 or 10 times trying to figure out how to make it work for me better without buying a new seat because nobody wants to buy new seats.
Right.
But it's a very difficult situation, and doing a full custom pour on a little kid that's going to grow is going to be, that's where getting almost a case of where you can put some seats in there that they could grow into and grow with. But yeah, that's a typical case by case.
You should spend more
situation.
time figuring out how to steal seats rather than staring at your crappy plastic ones.
Well, Kelsey said that she does still want to keep the stock seats for bigger people, so she wants to be able to utilize it. So I think it's kind of just one of those things where not only is she going to learn how to properly do it, like you guys can help, but you guys are probably going to be able to learn and teach her at the same time.
I think there are some aftermarket solutions for what she's asking, but without knowing more about it, it's hard to give a real good answer on that. But there are solutions out there. They are making some smaller seats. So depending on what you're using now, we'd love to help you. Call Tim. He can answer those questions.
Yeah, that's cool. It'll be nice to see what you guys come up with for the play car too, Kelsey, because I know that Kelsey has her husband is a fabricator and a racer as well,
okay.
so
Perfect.
they do some pretty good stuff. One of the other guys that had some questions for us tonight is James Jeremio. He's just joined us. What's up, James?
Hey, George, how you doing?
Good, bro. I got Tim and Jeff from UPR on the line with you too. So what's happening with you lately?
Oh, awesome. Not much. Just finished up a Monday work day and trying to figure out the racing plans for next year with the recent news of the Lucas Oil Series.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Jeff? About
Lucas
Lucas
Oil?
That's I don't know. I hate to say no one saw it coming, but That's tough.
Yeah.
That was
Not to
they
be
had
like-
a good run.
Yeah, they did.
They
Not
had
to
a
be the
good
guy,
run.
but I called it 4 years ago.
Well,
It's really tough on a lot of people out there because there's been I know quite a few people have been making their plans and buying
Right.
cars and trying to. I mean, we've got customers coming in.
We're talking about on a race level. Have you seen what it did to the industry, though? There's huge companies, tire manufacturers, fuel manufacturers. All of them are laying off people just because Lucas shut the doors.
Right.
Crazy, man.
Yeah,
and we're not talking about
it's
little
tough.
companies here. We're talking about big
Yeah,
dogs.
but you're talking about the end. I'm talking about the end racer that's affected because we've got families that spent, $20,000 buying an RS1 and, in seats and things like that. That it's going to affect pretty heavily too. Because now it's pretty tough to explain to your sponsors when if it's just a small family team.
Yeah, 100%.
Even if
what do I do?
Yeah, exactly. We got somebody on the hook for 25 grand worth of stuff right now, and now they don't know where to go race.
That's insane, dude.
So I feel bad for all the factory reps that are going to be affected by it, but it's hitting the normal guy pretty hard.
It's crazy. Well, maybe more are going to go race the Work Series. What do you think,
Right.
James?
Yeah, I'm gonna go this weekend actually. Well, I have my short course car all pulled apart, getting ready to refab it for next year, make a couple changes, and decided to put it back together and go do the short course version of the Lucas race, of the Works race this weekend. So that'll be fun. Get a little seat time, and right now I looked at a couple different options and just see which direction we want to go and what next year is going to look like. But
Dude, we'll see you there this weekend. We're going to come hang out.
Oh, awesome. I'll definitely be there.
Sweet. That's going to be fun, man. Well, hey, some of the stuff that we've been talking about on tonight's show has been about safety and stuff. You have a pretty specific need as well because you get, incomplete quadriplegia, but so the stuff that you do is still pretty awesome. Like you have certain setups and the way that you have your seats set up and everything. And I always ask you, like, if you could do it better. Do you think you could?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the seating, what I always tell people, and I think it's right up your guys' alley, especially with guys in with my injury, when they want to look at getting a car together, I say, first thing, you got to get the right seat, because if you can't hold your body in together, like I can't drive my feet down to the floorboard to hold my body up. I can't press myself against the steering wheel to hold my body in. So it really all comes down to the seat. And that's what I noticed racing Works is it would get so rough. You'd just be like a big stack of potatoes bouncing around in your seat, just in the seat belt. And I went to a full containment seat probably 3-4 years ago, and it completely changed the way that I was able to drive and race, because it just felt like the whole time I was driving, I was getting a big bear hug around me, and I didn't need to worry about holding my body steady in the corner. It was, it's one of those aluminum, almost like a NASCAR looking style seat that'll hold up your head and your shoulders as you're going in the corners. And it made such a big difference. It completely changed what I was able to do with the car.
And people can do that in their play cars too.
Yeah, well, certainly.
Well, not necessarily with that seat.
Absolutely.
I'm saying just get that comfortability.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So a full containment seat for what it sounds like he's doing is definitely a good option with a good seatbelt setup. That's perfect. If you can restrain your body, all you got to do is move your arms.
Yeah.
You're good.
And the general consumer doesn't even have to have a full containment seat, but they can get that same bear hug type feeling with a different seat than the stock one.
Yeah, you definitely want your seat to restrain you,
Right.
And your seatbelts to keep you in your seat.
It's pretty crazy to think about it, man. Even just having this little conversation here today, I mean, you've helped me already a bunch of times, but like it still baffles me to understand that all of these guys that are professional racers or even just, trail riders, everybody can benefit from this.
Yes.
It's nuts, man.
You don't know what you don't know until you've been in.
I guess that's a good point.
And most people have been in setups that, have been adequate. And then hopefully they've never been hurt. So, maybe they don't assume it's a problem. And some of them I'm sure are fine. But
there's been
a lot of them are not.
There's been so many dudes that I've seen that are strapped in, they think is all right. And I've seen them come off the track and they're just cuckoo, dude. Like they got a broken shoulder, collarbone, arm, whatever it is, man. It's crazy.
Right.
I still think there's so much benefit for the dune riders and for the trail riders and stuff, though. I think that's where the real change or effect is going to happen.
Well, these things are fast. I mean, out of the box, they'll go 75.
We were talking about
80
the other
miles
day.
an hour. I just, it's
James will definitely
it's
get
fast enough to get you hurt.
Yeah,
sure.
100%. And James will definitely get along with this. Like I told Jeff when we were doing the RS1, James, I'm like, I can't drive this thing as fast as it'll go. There's no possible way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 'cause that's what you think, and then they set you up right, and it completely changes what you thought was possible.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. It's crazy, man. Well, it's going to be awesome to see you this weekend, man. Did you have any specific questions for the boys?
I do. I saw the picture that you guys posted about the custom molded seat inserts, and that's been something I've been wanting to look into. I just didn't know the right direction to go, and it sounds like now I know the people to talk to. Because on mine, I have the containment seat, and I've had to, just with the needs that I have and giving myself like the right angles I want to use, I've had to cut little pieces of foam and just use it to support my body in the right way. And right now that it feels great. Like when I come in and out of the car, it feels like I'm almost in a suction cup. It feels great, but it feels like it could be much more refined. And I feel like the going with the custom molded route's the way to go. And I didn't know if that was something that I would need to sit with someone that really knows what they're doing, because I don't trust myself to really do it in my shop. So I want to know just what that process looks like, so I could, instead of having to worry about all these little pieces of foam, making sure I get them right when I take the upholstery out, that I have a well put together seat insert that I just don't have to worry about, that I know that it's right every time it goes inside the car.
So it sounds like he's putting in individuals like pads and stuff to space him apart.
We sort of start basically when we're building a kit. That's sort of what we do. We start basically doing that. So on our Instagram today, we posted Ray Griffith's seat, which was super complicated. There's about 40 pieces of cut foam in it. And we didn't take a whole bunch of pictures, but there's a couple pictures in there so you can see how much foam and what an unfinished insert looks like. So basically we use different density of foam in different parts of the seat where you need it, because you need it in soft in some places, and on some parts of it for support you need a little firmer. So we'll use multiple densities of foam, and then we basically pour a chemical over it, which is that sets up into another foam over it, and then we trim it back and cover it. And I think there's 8 or 10 pictures that tell about half the story on how the process works. But effectively, what you're doing is sort of a version of what we do. We just probably have access to better or more materials.
Well, the knowledge too, James. The knowledge is where
to do it. So, and our piece will come in and out in one piece. Yeah. You might have several pieces, but I don't know. You may not be that far off. So, we could see what you're doing, and I'm sure we can help you one way or another. But there's nothing beats a molded insert that's molded your body. I guarantee you wouldn't be moving at all, and certainly, and it'd be one piece. So.
Well, what we're doing is very similar to the way they are doing it for the NASCAR guys. They do the full poured seat. They take the full containment seat. They get the driver in the position. They do everything the exact same way we do, and then they pour it. The big difference is once they get that all done, they 3D scan it so they can replicate that $15,000 seat as many times as they need to for $15,000. So.
Ours isn't $15,000.
Ours isn't $15,000. So starting with even using the shell of the full containment seat that you have is possibly usable. Now, did they put? Did you get the leg pieces with that also?
I don't have the leg pieces down by the calf. I want to incorporate that in the design.
So did you,
especially the leg piece, I want to see how well that can hold me in.
So you just ordered a seat to your measurement. You ordered a 15-inch seat or something like that. You didn't actually travel and get a pour or anything like that.
No, so I actually got really lucky. The guy that is really the ISP seats.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually in town doing the Monster Jam because he did a lot of the monster trucks.
Chris.
So I just was
Yeah.
lucky to catch him while he was in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris.
He's great.
Yeah, so he measured me.
Yeah, he's great.
Because now after going through that process, I wouldn't feel comfortable just me measuring myself and sending it to somebody.
Yeah.
So that's why I realized how important it is having someone that, kind of like you guys, someone that you're sitting with to make sure you do it correctly.
So did Chris measured you and sent you the seat that you're using? You have an ISP seat?
And then I had to, I have an ISP seat. And then what we did is we had a couple, like the wings and the headrest, and then I made that to our specs. I had to change it once or twice, and once I figured out the right way to do it, it's
so. But he measured you.
My race.
He built you a seat though. The ISP seat is sized for you. Okay, then you're in great shape.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good seat.
So that's been good. I told everybody to build the seat, and by the time I finally got done fitting it, I swear it was about half of the time of building the car to really, really do that correctly with all the.
You're right,
but that's how important. That's how important it is,
so
though.
happy that we did
It says
that
something.
Way.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah,
I could carry the seat with me from car. That seat's gone with me for 3 different cars now. It's a whole piece of what I use.
Well, yeah, what those guys are doing in those monster trucks, and
oh my God.
Chris is fitting those guys. It's
Seriously.
pretty impressive. He's good.
Yeah.
We're jumping 212 feet or whatever the heck that was.
Yeah. So I got some questions for one of our guests. I think it's in 2 weeks. We got Todd Ledoux coming on the show.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go hang out with him up in Phoenix, and I got some serious questions for that dude. Like, how the hell do you fly 200 feet in a monster truck and not break yourself?
Insane.
Like,
good seat.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. Well, thanks, James. I appreciate you calling in. Do you have any more questions before we let you go, bud?
I don't, but I'm going to be get in touch with you guys. I feel like doing the custom mold is really the next step of me getting everything just right. So I want to be in touch with you guys and see if we can work something out.
Okay.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like a lot of these guys, James is up in Vegas, Jesse's in California, but a lot of these guys will be centralized at the races too. So maybe one of these days we'll get you guys to come out to one of the races and be able to look at some of the setups and stuff that some of these UTV guys have.
Absolutely.
All right, homie. Well, thanks so much for calling in. We really appreciate it, dude.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, we'll see you this weekend, bud.
Sounds great. Talk to you soon.
See ya. It's really neat for me to understand that all these guys, like, I felt like such a dumbass when you were talking to me about this stuff. I was like, dude, like, I'm a motocross guy. I'm cool. Like, I know what I'm doing, right? And you
typical
like,
motorcycle guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, it's not neat to see, but it's good to understand that everybody else has these problems because it shows that it's a real thing that needs to be worked on in the industry.
Yes.
But it's the other side of it is it's nothing you think you needed.
Yeah, that's what's crazy, right?
You just don't think, it's just like everybody thinks they need more horsepower instead of more safety.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'll put a tune on my car before I do the suspension on my
How
UTV.
many times have we seen that question on Facebook? I just bought this brand new UTV. What are the first 2 things that I should do to it? And somebody says add a turbo or put tires on it. Like, it's crazy to think that they don't just say, all right, proper safety setup and a cage. It's nuts.
Man, I bought one and I don't know. I'm not thinking it needs to go a whole bunch faster than it does now.
Well, and you're a race car driver. Like, you've been through the mill.
It's not like I have it pinned all the time.
Yeah.
So I made the suspension work and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, exactly. Kelsey Fitz, the one that I was asking about the booster seats and stuff, she says she's going to try to get a hold of you guys as well too. So thank you guys very much for all the awesome questions. We had Brian Hawkins actually chime in as well. He said thank you guys for all the great info. He lives in Phoenix and he's going to have to try to see if he can come down to Tucson because he's really interested in getting a setup that's better in his Yamaha YXZ. So
right on.
It's really cool to see that all these people are understanding that this is a really good thing to do for any of the side-by-sides.
Yeah.
I mean,
no one wants to be hurt.
They're getting so fast.
I don't even think being hurt, though. Like, we keep talking about it as a precautionary measure, but, like, just like you guys were talking about with Jesse, like, when you're sitting there in the car and you're, like, strapped in properly, it's so easy to drive.
Right.
Like, you can go on a dune ride for 3 hours and come back and be perfectly fine. Like, it's crazy how much better it is when you have a proper cockpit
You're
setup.
not holding yourself in place. It's like a motorcycle.
Well,
Poorly set up motorcycle.
how
You're
many-
all over the place. You're bouncing. Your knees are hurting. Your legs are hurting because you're squeezing so tight.
And
You
how
know,
many
you got
comments did
arm
we get
pump.
about people saying that they were pushing themselves with their legs to hold
That's
themselves in?
that's what they all do. They're
Everybody's
killing
left
their dead
leg.
pedal. Yep.
Everybody's left leg is on the dead pedal.
So everybody's back at camp in the dunes walking around with a limp on their left side.
Everybody,
They got that left leg cramp.
Oh, we should do a poll on that, like after a long day of riding. Man, it's super cool to see though that there's the ability for them to do like just call you guys and be able to know what's going on, and you can help them out no matter what. Even if, like you said before, you'd want them to buy products, obviously, but you can just help people. It's cool, man. It really is.
We'll help them someday.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that we didn't really get to talk about too much was the Baja stuff. So we have, let's see. Well, actually, I think we only have 2 minutes before our next caller's coming in. But we were going to talk about basically, I guess it's the same thing. Like the endurance races like this, whether you're driving 200 miles and splitting it up four or five times in the Baja, like you need to be able to sit there for a long duration of time. And these setups can make it way easier for these racers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because if you're not beating yourself up, obviously you're not wasting energy.
Right.
So, and you need all the energy you can get. I mean, it's not like it's a 20-minute sprint race.
So what do these guys do, like Kristen Matlock or BJ Baldwin, when they went and they Ironman or Ironwoman these races? Do they go through the process to make sure that they're fitted properly in the cockpit?
Well, we did BJ's seat 10 years ago
10, 12
or
years
so,
ago.
and he's moved it from seat to seat. I just saw it again when we did race, and
So he has a custom insert?
I think he needs a new one, but yeah.
He probably needs a new one, but he did it 10 years ago, and he's got a big Sparco seat in his car, and he's set up properly. The guys,
Well, he's a
honestly,
pretty
the
big
guys
guy, right?
running
Yeah.
up front, they've all got pretty good setups. So because it's just part of the package.
Yeah.
If you're, and if you even if you're not going 800 miles, even if you're going 200 or 300 miles in a stint, if you're moving around in your seat and you're bracing yourself on your steering wheel, you're just wiping out your arms. You can't steer.
Well, that actually brings up a good point then. So, like, we're talking about $1 million trophy truck, and obviously that's a drop in the bucket for them, but they spend thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, I'm just saying, so they spend $1,000 on suspension and tires and do all this stuff, right? If we take that ratio and kind of put it in a normal consumers, they're going out and they're spending 30, 40 grand on a UTV, right?
Sure.
And so a cage is a drop in the bucket. Like the comfort and the safety should be thought of as the same thing. Like they're going out and buying tires and wheels and all this stuff. It should be really thought of like the same way.
It should be.
Yeah, you would think.
It's you're paying attention to safety in every other aspect of your life, probably.
Yeah, well, you look
from
both
wearing
ways
a
before you
mask
cross
every
the
time
street.
looking both ways, wearing a mask. Everything you do, and then you get into your, UTV or off-road car, and you don't have the best safety setup. It's kind of
it's pointless, right?
people are just used to it, though.
Yeah. You shouldn't be just okay though. Like
No,
I'm
you're right.
such a huge proponent of safety now. Like I hate when I talk with people and they say, "Oh, I feel pretty good in here." Like you shouldn't just feel pretty good.
I've been doing it like this forever.
Oh
But
God.
just because you've been doing it that way forever doesn't mean you've been doing it right.
I'm not
which
getting-
we know.
I've never been hurt. I haven't been hurt yet. That's,
haven't been
that's
hurt
the
yet.
that's the thing I hate to hear on the phone. I haven't been hurt yet.
Oh God, I hate that.
Like,
yeah.
great.
That's
Well,
like
don't
that.
call
That's
me
like the
when you
dude
are.
at the dirt bike races or the practice that says, "I'm going to go out one more
Yeah,
time."
right. The last run.
Yeah, the last run, right? So last week on the show we had Brooklyn Demon. She corrected me. So she was on the show last week, and she's kind of like what we just talked about, like the on the front end of her career as being a side-by-side racer, and she just joined us on the line to ask some questions about
Front,
this stuff
front end,
too.
isn't she the works champion?
Well, she's already got some pretty good
Something like
accolades, but
Yeah.
Brooke, can you hear
She's
us?
won some races.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've won some races, but you still think you could be more comfy in your car, or what?
I definitely need to be. Like, that is something that definitely lacking over here.
Why? What kind of stuff do you run into, or what are you? I know one time you ran out of power steering, but do you usually get pretty tired when you race?
I usually do. It's hard because I am on like the more like skinnier side, so I sometimes end up in the dash. I do have issues with getting like properly seated, and of course, like stuff starts to hurt after a while. So just trying to figure out where I'm most comfortable, and I usually start like my body starts getting tired, not from racing, but from like what I'm doing and like the harnesses and stuff. So definitely probably need to get a hold of you guys and figure out what's going to be comfortable, because the more comfortable I am, the harder I'm going to push and the more comfortable I'm going to be in the car.
So are you in a shell type racing seat now, or are you in a suspension seat?
Shell type racing seat.
So it probably just doesn't fit you properly.
Probably not. We try to get like a smaller one to like, so I wouldn't like move anywhere. And then I still end up going somewhere.
Well, she's pretty tall though too. So like that's one of the issues that I had that Jeff and you helped me figure out was being tall and skinny. Like you have to really like be able to look and see the different seats, because most of the time, like just like clothes, like if you're skinny, the seat's usually short, right? But like you guys were able to figure out one for me, and she's pretty tall too for a girl and skinny. So it'd be nice to be able to show her the right seat.
Well, we got a lot of sizes, and that's the beauty of a quality seat. So I don't know. I know there's more than 20 sizes. We've got really small stuff, narrow, some, and we know just like different brands of clothing or different types of shoes fit different people a different way. So different body types, we can recommend a different type of a seat. Some people have taller torsos, longer legs, different things like that. And so just with all of those combinations.
This might be a dumb question, but so the seats come in all different sizes, right? But you're not talking about just like tall and like wide. You're talking about the bottom where you sit, how it
every
goes
dimension.
down your legs.
So some have a tall back, some of them
shoulders,
short, different width shoulders. Sometimes depending on the car, you might have width restrictions.
You have pretty long legs, Brooke?
I do. That's like the longest. I have a shorter torso but longer legs.
So she would probably benefit from having the seat further stretched out on the bottom too, huh?
Yeah. So it just I'm sure we can fit you. Like that's why we have so many different sizes, and some of the brands out there, they might have just a couple of sizes because a lot of times they're engineered for price, and so obviously if you're only building one or two sizes of seat, your volume is much more than if you're building in that particular part than if you're building 20 or 30 different sizes. So if you're trying to make money, the smart guys are building just a couple different size shells to fit most of the people, and sometimes they fit fine, but sometimes they don't. So, and that's why Sparco sells seats all over the world. So, there's all different types of, and they do all different types of racing, rally racing, road racing. They're, in Europe, they have different requirements than they do in the U.S. So we've just got a huge variety of, sizes and seat specs for, different people. So it's not.
Are you just using the stock seat pads like for your butt, the butt pads?
Yes.
Dude, you got to get one of these these things are like so nice. These seats with the seat foams, the seat pads that they sell, they're so good. Yeah, I like Tim's introduction with the.
I know, they look
sweat.
like a dream.
It really is so nice. Like
we're all sitting in them right now.
We sit in them when we drive to the races. We have them in our Freightliner. Like we just sit in them all the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's dialed.
Well, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely the best seat pad period.
It's cool. And they have two different sizes too, Brooke, so you could get one of those. I know your dad mentioned online when he was commenting in that he had some questions. What kind of stuff is he wondering about?
Yes. So he is right here, and I drive the car, but he builds them and everything. So he's got some questions for you guys, so I'll let him talk.
Right on. Well, it's pretty cool to see the family effort, right? Like you were just talking about the family teams and stuff.
Yeah, it's really funny. There's a lot of father-daughter teams, and there's even a brother, and he just doesn't really care, or it started off as, everybody was going to race, but maybe one of the two was a little smoother, a little faster than the other one, so then the other one, decided to give up. We see it a lot. Has
there ever been one where the sister or the girl was way faster, and the brother was like, "Dude, I can't have my
That's
sister
usually the way. That's usually the way it goes
The
down.
brother quits because he's not interested anymore.
Oh, that's it. He's not
Twins.
interested.
Yeah, we've seen it happen with twins. One of them wasn't quite as fast, and so he wasn't happy finishing behind his brother, and so he gave up and went and did something else. But
Rusty, was that the way it worked with the kids?
No, not at all. The age difference is between them is 7 years. So each one of them has had their own independent careers in racing, and I couldn't be prouder of both of them. Now with her, our son, he's learning to crew chief on the car and set things up. But I do have some questions.
All right, hit us.
That's what's important to me. Okay. So, thank you for the Dirt Life show and what you're doing. You have highlighted some things tonight that have really had me concerned. She's just turned 18 years old. She's pushing the car harder and harder. I do realize that her comfort is the most important thing to stop fatigue in the car. And when she's not fatigued, she won't tear up my race car.
True.
So
ouch.
Those are very important to the survival. This young lady competed in 22 races and finished 21 of them. So she has the commitment to finish a race.
But there's room for improvement.
The more comfortable I make her.
Yeah.
But there's always room for improvement. So my first question is this. Obviously, we all try for an aesthetic view of a car, the way a car sets, the way a roll cage is on a car. So my question straight off the get-go is, if I was to bring you the car without a roll cage and let you fit her in the seat so that her head height and her vision was where it needs to be, and then the roll cage I put on top of it was to give her good head clearance, because you pointed out the fact of 12 inches of expansion between 6 inches in a seat belt and 6 inches in a body. Those issues concern me to where the distance is from her helmet to the roll cage.
Yep.
Sure. I mean, we could fit her without a
So one of the things that I
cage.
caught on real quick was, you just said it a little bit ago, is that the roll cage bar that's behind the shoulders is very important. So
Yeah.
if you do something like that, does that also give him the option, like, to kill two birds with one
Yeah.
stone, because he can put it where it really needs to be after the setup of roll cage as a second part of the phase?
Yeah. So how much room does she have now between her helmet? Are you concerned that
Right.
there's not enough space now?
I am. I come from dirt track racing, which we always measured. If you get a fist in between the top of the helmet
Yeah.
and
Yep.
the roll cage bar,
know that.
and
Yeah, that's
old
what it is.
technology. And for me, I'm realizing at 6 feet, almost 1 inch tall in her, that I need to make the car more comfortable for her. And I need to set the car up for her better and better and better. The more comfortable she is, the better my feedback is, and the better I can set the car up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the answer to your question is yes, you could bring it to us without a cage on it. I don't I've ever had a situation like that where we need to.
Yeah, what's the
But-
reason you would want it without a
but-
cage?
Well, so then he could build the cage.
Right.
That's what he's talking about. So then he can build a cage with enough headroom for her.
Got
Now
it.
he's obviously not going to build it with 12 inches because it would be the tallest thing out there next to the water truck.
Right.
But he at that point can then take all of his measurements. Like, seen guys that are really big and really tall go have custom dirt cars built because for the exact same reason, because they put the halo up a lot higher. I've seen them build tall sprint cars for super tall guys before, and it's the same deal. So he could then give her enough room side to side and above up to the roof. Again, he's not going to put 12 inches on above her head if she's 6 feet tall already. It would just be huge, but he could definitely at that point build the cage so she has plenty of room for movement. But if she's in the seat properly, she's going to move a lot less than improperly.
So that's a thing that I just learned is that you can do it in that order. Make sure the seat is situated properly, and then build the cage on top of it.
But you can. So I think one of the issues is like that seat bracket you brought us is they're not trying to get the seat as low as possible. I mean, a lot of people are using off the shelf stuff.
That one was 3 inches higher than the stock bracket, and it was $700.
And so different classes have different restrictions. So you may not be able to, cut the chassis up or whatever. So maybe you can't lower it. Or
what car is she in?
Well, the problem we have, gentlemen, is the next class she moves up to puts her in a professional class. To run in the professional class, she'll run a fuel cell. The fuel cell for most Can-Ams goes under the seat. That eats up that floor space on the bottom for getting her seat down.
Right, it doesn't drop it all the way. It doesn't drop it down below. Yeah, exactly. Nick's got that in his car, and it fills up that. So how like we did on mine with those seats for the guy from Yuma.
Maybe you can explain it a little bit more.
Drop it down. So in the Can-Am, the way they built their seat mounts, you've got it's two height adjustments, and then you could build a bracket to even drop it lower down the frame rail. But you're talking about like that Pyrotech fuel cell, correct? The one that fills up the entire area all the way up to the bars. So so then they could only go to the. Does that even allow you to go to the lower position in the Can-Am?
No, it doesn't.
It forces you to stay in the highest position because it's like a 20-gallon.
But they wouldn't need a slider.
25 gallons. No, if she's the only one in there, she wouldn't need a slider, so she could basically be right on top of the cell. But that's still only to kind of
correct.
But just as you did in my car with that Evo XL, we got it down to where it was almost the height of the factory seat.
And Tim drives for people that don't know, Tim drives an X3 as well, a 4-seater.
And that's part of, I guess, what I'm saying here to you guys is with what you've described tonight, you have taught me a lot about her comfort.
Well, we can definitely, depending on the seat. So we can get her low in the car, as low as possible with that Pyrotech fuel cell. We can, and whether we show you how to make the bracket or like if you're a fabricator, you can probably figure it out pretty easy. We have a few different combinations of seat brackets, and we just came out with a new one that allows you to get the seat really about on the floor. Which I just built a bracket in a Razor in a Sparco seat.
Go ahead and keep talking, Jeff.
In a Sparco seat that is actually 2 inches lower. It gave me 2 inches lower than the factory seat. Without cutting the cage. So, and that's with a slider.
Yeah,
so,
and it really does. Like even the RS1 that you did that helped me with, like we had the stock seat in there, and then you ended up putting a Sparco seat in it, but it was lower than what the stock seat was. So it actually worked out really, really well for me. It looks like we lost Rusty. I'll try to give him a call back and see if we can get him back on the line here. But all of this stuff is, like he said, man, it's really good for us to be able to understand that. I mean, every single person has such a specific need, right?
Yep. And that's why there's lots of seats, sizes.
So I'm not sure we'll be able to get him back on. We'll wait and see if they can call us back. So Rusty and Brooke, if you're listening in on the show still, please give us a ring back and we'll try to finish up the conversation. If not, then you're more than welcome to just give Jeff and Tim a call at the shop anytime, and they can help out and answer some more of those questions for you. We were talking about, before you got on the phone, the amount of time spent in the driver's seat. So when you do 200 miles or 250 miles in the Baja 1000 race, like, it's a race format. It's really intense. Like, you got to be comfortable in the seat, right? But when you reverse that, like, a lot of guys are going out and riding on a dune ride for 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're going, like, some of them will take breaks and stuff, but they're going balls to the wall through the sand dunes. I mean, there's huge G-outs, lots of transfers going over side-to-side stuff. I mean, it's not that much different on what it does to your body. It might be a slower pace or something than the racers, but your body still goes through a lot of it.
Yeah. If you're secure, I mean, the G-forces at the dunes are the same as the G-forces are anywhere, right? I mean,
right.
So really that's what you're talking about, is when you're, the terrain being equal. I mean, it's not going to be, it's different at sand dunes is in Baja, but different places in Baja, there's,
but there's hundreds
of bed, but the reality is
there's hundreds of thousands of people.
G-forces, right? So you're going left and right and up and down.
Right.
And so you're hitting, if you're hitting a hole and it's 2-3 G's, you're a 200-pound guy. I mean, like,
dude, it's going to be
2 or
bad.
3 G's in a race car are the same as in a sand car. It's the same as in a UTV. You know what I mean?
There's only a couple thousand people that go to Baja, though. There's hundreds of thousands of people that go to the dunes.
Oh yeah. So really, you need to be safe both places.
Right.
And the amount of movement you're going to get in one of those cars, it's, and the reasons you're moving around are all the same. So you got to be restrained the same. The basic theory is all the same.
Even just seeing you see the videos from the Glamis sand drags, and those guys moving around over there, and I mean, some of those guys, like,
they just move around in their
they're just bouncing around in the seat just because of the bumps, even at the sand drags, and it gets sketchy.
Yeah, it does, 100%.
We call loose seatbelts dune tight.
Yeah, dune tight.
So you know what I mean. You go to the dunes and nothing's going to happen. And everyone, I'm painting everyone with the same brush. Obviously, I shouldn't be, but the reality is, it's possible I can be accused of it too. You're not cinching the heck out of them. So we kind of, when we're talking to a racer, it's like, how tight do you keep them? Like, and then you say dune tight to most racers, and they know what you're talking about. And they go, yeah, maybe a little tighter.
Yeah,
because they're lying. They want to lie to you because they don't want to admit they're wearing loose belts.
Yeah,
you need them tight because
every single person's been guilty of running loose belts.
But the problem is with a loose belt, you go forward and then you hit your belt and then it whips your head forward. And then
so you have that much more leverage.
Yeah. So you're hitting twice, right? So it's like, it's the inertia. It's like swinging a hammer.
Even just watch the wheelie videos. Guys practicing doing the wheelies coming up off the dunes. And so you see those guys come down and they whip forward and practically hit their helmet on the steering wheel.
That's a good point.
And it's a case of their belts, if they're even shoulder belts are even on, they're just barely tight and they're coming forward in them. And that's why you see so many accidents and injuries happening to some of those guys. Over there is they're just, not in the car tight. So when something goes bad, it goes bad.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Bad. It's just crazy to me to understand that. I just want everybody to be safe, man. That's all I want.
Can only lead a horse to water. Can't make them drink.
And there's a lot of injuries, and no one's ever blaming it on their setup.
Yeah, that's right. It's blamed on the seat, or
they're blaming it on the seat,
on the harnesses, or whatever.
The seat, the harnesses,
on the brand. So
yeah, makes sense.
They never blame the beer they drank before either.
Depends on the beer. It could have something to do
with it. The hydration.
Could have something to do with it.
Well, so what do you think is going to be the craziest part about going to the Baja 1000 when I try to get Brooke on? Do you think it's going to be the new terrain?
The craziest, man, that's hard to say.
That's why it is Baja.
That's why it is the Baja 1000.
That is why it is the Baja.
Well, so I was thinking about this earlier today. Like, 2020 is obviously a one thing to worry about when you go down there, because who knows what the hell is going on with just all the weird stuff. Are people going to be able to fix their cars? Are they going to be able to eat the same stuff? Is their diet changed? When they're pre-running, are they going to run into stuff? Then you have Kristen just said there's different terrain now. Obviously, the trail, the course is different.
Off-road guys adapt. I think the new terrain's new for everybody. So I think it's all the same. And the fast guys will be fast, and it'll. I'm sure there'll be some great stories at the end of it. Score does a great job.
Do you guys have favorites that you think are going to do well at the race this year?
Of course we do.
BJ Baldwin and Ray Griffith.
Always a threat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we got Brooke back on the line.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Sorry about that. We have some Wi-Fi issues. So, what was your dad going to say when we were finishing up with him?
Well, I missed your answers, fellas, and I thank you so much. But I guess we need to make an appointment to bring the car down to you and get it fitted for her, get a seat fitted for her for 2021 season. She wants to push the car as hard as she can, and that's on me, so that I make the car tough enough so she can. But I notice with our fantastic shock therapy shock setup that her foot is not bouncing anymore off the throttle pedal. But I noticed that the harsh hits, she's coming off the throttle, not because the suspension is bad. She's just pushing the car harder and harder. So that leads me back to the seat. She's moving in the seat. And being 6 foot, almost 1, she's a big girl. I mean, but she doesn't have a butt to go with that height. She's, skinny. And my problem is, you guys talked about the pads and the molds and the different stuff. I have no way to get into the car and fit in her skinny butt seat from that preset deal. So is it something we can mold to where we can go with the bigger seat so I can get my butt in there, test the car, and then slip that foam in there or that seat mold?
How big is your butt?
How
fat are you?
So, I guess the short answer is yeah. I mean,
yeah.
If she's going to race it, though, I would probably suggest something like just take a seat out and put one in, or something like switch the seat and make sure that she is the top priority. Doing it so that you can do both it shouldn't be the top priority.
It is not.
But if it's possible, I mean, sure, like
that's the purpose of the seat insert.
If you have to drive it.
Yeah, that's basically where the seat insert starts. You fit the big guy in the truck and then build a seat insert for the smaller guy within reason.
But we don't have to make you as comfortable. We just have to make it so you can drive it.
And more my concern, fellas, isn't so much the driver's seat. It's for her.
Yeah.
Her comfort is most important, but it's the passenger seat so that I can get a smaller co-driver in there. I weigh 265 pounds and I stand 6'5". And she's 6'1" and barely breaks 150.
Yeah, and then so he's talking about that, and then I think Kate is Brooke's co-driver's name. She's 5 foot something. Like she's just a little tiny girl too. So if Rusty and her want to co-drive, then they definitely need a BJ Baldwin, Ray Griffith setup.
Yeah, that's a pretty big disparity.
Yeah, it's huge.
100 pounds is a lot.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. Yeah, I mean, so I think and it's a Can-Am. Is that a width issue for those seats?
Yes,
no, I don't think so.
Can-Am.
Because Mikey Solger I think he had one of these ergo seats, I think, in the front of his two-seater.
It's pretty narrow, though.
And he's
yeah, but that would probably fit Rusty, though, right?
Yeah, because Solger's not a tiny guy.
No, he's a big dude, too. So, yeah, I don't know. Rusty, I think you'd be best off just either talking to the guys and having a long conversation with them, or bringing the car and kind of just showing them the different things that you guys want to get done. Like Jeff said, anything's possible, but he'll give you the straight up answer. Like, this is the best way to do it, and then this is the less best way to do it, and you'll probably take his advice.
Well, when you got a 120-pound co-driver and a potential 260-pound co-driver,
that's a big difference.
You
man.
leave that 260-pound co-driver in,
back in the pits,
out of the pits, because that's in a 200 horsepower vehicle. That's a big difference there.
So you just want to be able to test the car. So
yeah,
you're not riding in it typically.
Exactly.
So we just need to make you be able to drive it, and you're not going to be riding in it, right?
Nope.
And the biggest rider in it is what size?
The biggest rider in it's going to be 165 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot that you guys could work with.
I think Rusty's just going to have his own seat if they go out testing.
That's kind of what I was saying. Like, just pop out the seat and go out testing, and then put it back in. I mean,
125 pounds is a difference in the suspension.
That's a difference in one human being.
We can work on it. We
Yeah.
may be able to make it so you do have two seats, and the seat just pops out super easy. So it's not like the thought of unbolting a seat while you're testing is super time consuming and probably not real attractive to you. But we may be able to come up with something that makes the seat come in and out pretty easy.
And that was going to be my second thing. Was you guys were mentioning seat brackets. I'd rather have my ass kicked than take a seat out of a Can-Am.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can arrange both.
Yeah.
Tim will.
And
did you hear he's 6'5", 260 pounds? We want to be his best friend.
Yeah.
Now I have another question. You guys were talking to the gentlemen that have a limited accessibility to their legs, and you were talking about the braces for their legs. Is that something in her world that would hold her legs still in the car so she's not pushing back on the seat?
Well, we're going to solve that problem by properly fitting her seat. If she needs braces or something like that, your setup's bad. Like no one would do that. So that's all in seating position. So one of the things Tim mentioned, those were the sides, which are pretty popular as a safety item. The NASCAR and road racing, you extend the seat down, so if you're in a hard hit, your legs don't hit the cage or the tunnel. So that's one thing, but it's really not going to keep her feet from bouncing around. So if you're saying her foot's coming off the gas at a certain point, I'm not sure how.
That's just because she's moving around too much in the seat. That's got.
A lot of times, Rusty, you fall forward and you don't even realize it. Like your butt and your legs and stuff just kind of fold and move forward, and you end up being like your lumbar area and your back ends up being 3 or 4 inches from the actual back of the seat because you're not strapped in properly. So all of it will help if you want to just talk with Jeff and Tim a little bit more and kind of detail it.
But there are times you want to get off the gas, I've heard.
I don't know. She's not going to learn that.
And
you get off the gas.
In the last race, she actually was in Billy Long's car, and
it's a Lone Star Can-Am.
A Lone Star Can-Am, and that particular car, we didn't fit her separately for Billy's seat. We strapped her in, and when I strapped her in very, very tightly because the seat had a lot of room in it.
Well, one thing that I know, Rusty, is that Jeff had showed me a bunch of times. I go, dude, I feel tight in here. Like, I'm secure. And he goes, dude, tight is not necessarily the way it's supposed to be. Like, you can crank down the seat belts as much as you want, but if they're not in the right position where they're holding you from the back of the shoulders or even the lap belts, it's not gonna make any difference how tight you get them.
And that is, when Jeff spoke of that earlier in the show tonight, that was what impressed me. And that's why I want to bring the car down without the cage on it so we can get the seat properly set in the car correctly.
Good idea.
Yeah, you should be able to get your seatbelts. Honestly, and people work too hard to tighten their seatbelts. If they're set up properly, they're not that much work. I mean, you set them up so they're as short as possible, and the mounting positions. I mean, it's like we've got some cars that you could get in and effortlessly tighten the belts on and be more secure than you've ever been in anything, with ratchet belts or anything, just because the belts are set up right. It's unbelievable, actually. So once you feel it done right, it makes a huge difference.
So one of the things that I like most about what Rusty's doing is that Brooke is still young and she's entering the side-by-side, starting to race professionally and stuff in 2021. So he's giving her the opportunity to be safe in her next step of her career, right? I think that's amazing for a family effort, just like we talked about, because he's first and foremost treating it like a real racing effort. And I don't mean that it wasn't a real racing effort before, but he's going into the next level, right? Like, it's so awesome. Rusty, I suggest that you pay attention to the later portion of the show, because we're going to do some stuff. Tim's going to be our guinea pig here, because they have this seat setup thing that we're going to show people what they can do, where they should mount the harnesses and different things like that. So even if they aren't able to come down like you are to Arizona and get custom fitted for the seat, or have Jeff and those guys look at you, you can at least make a little bit of changes to what your current setup is in your current car.
Very good. And George, thank you very much. And since I am on the phone with both the gentlemen that run the program, we need to talk soon, because I want to get in on the schedule so that we can get the car in and get it done.
No problem.
Yeah, sounds good.
We'll get it done.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much, Rusty. We really appreciate it. And thanks for letting Brooke and her mom come down and eat some tacos with us last week. That was pretty awesome.
Hey,
man.
we didn't get tacos.
We missed you. You guys had In and Out. I had a granola bar.
Got into my desk.
So, hey, man, thank you very much, Rusty. We really appreciate it. Please tell the girls we said hello as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
Brooke.
you.
We'll see you later.
All right, bye.
I really do. I admire that. Like, first of all, it's a good dad, right? But that's an awesome way to look at the program. Like, if we're going to this next level, I have to push to that next level. Not just like, oh, okay, we can turn pro and go drive the same car. Like,
yeah, and it's funny when you see it with the dad and daughter, dad and son, and we see a lot of it here in town, because there's a lot of racing families that have been multi-generational here in Tucson. And the Banghart family, it's crazy. The Jones family, dad's raced, the kids have all raced, the grandkids are now racing. And it really just, watching that trickle down, right now we've got, there's a girl from here in town. They started racing her dad was a former, I think he was a late model champion or something. John Foley, a guy I went to school with. And then, the daughter got to be 13 and she started driving in a little Hornet car.
right.
Now she lives in the Midwest and she's racing dirt modifieds with the big boys. And just recently I think she's the first girl to make the A main at like the Super Nats or something for the IMCA stuff.
Hell yeah.
So, watching these, and these dads and their daughters or sons or anything kind of go to that next level when the dad's been doing one thing, and then, they get the kid into it, and then they just go full bore. And like she worked a job, saved a lot of her money. She pays a lot of her own way. It's not like
awesome.
her dad is footing the bill either. And so she's got the responsibility of moving to the Midwest.
That's a big deal.
And she's running this car herself. She doesn't have a crew out there really. She has another girl that flies in from Phoenix every once in a while and helps her and gets some help out at the tracks. But I mean,
dude, I love hearing those stories.
These family deals, it's
Dude, we should get her on the show one of these days. That'd be super cool.
I think she's coming. I think she's coming back for the winter.
Well, dude, you be my agent. Line that up.
I know a guy.
You know a guy.
I know her dad. Just don't make him mad.
Hey, so we've been talking about a lot of racing and stuff over the past couple hours, but let's talk a little bit of trails with Billy Slade. You on, bud?
I'm here.
What's going down, dude? You've been riding a lot lately on the trails, huh?
Yeah, I've been a little bit of everywhere lately. So glad to be home until New Year's for Glamis. So gonna take the time and get some stuff ready around the house, and I'll be back out there.
Where you been lately?
So we did Oregon in September into early October, And then from there, we went to Sand Hollow for the Trail Code, the UTV Sport Mag.
Dude, that place looks sweet. I definitely want to go there. Have you seen that, Jeff or Tim? Have you seen that camping area or their OHV area?
Where is that at?
Sand Hollow, Utah.
Oh, yeah. Coral Paint.
It's actually a state park, so it has a massive lake that you
Looks
can do
amazing.
wakeboarding, trails, rock crawling. They got sand dunes. It's kind of a mecca of almost any type of riding that you could possibly think of.
Dude, I'm so into it. I've seen all the stuff that you post on social media, and I'm like so jealous, man. I want to get over there. Has there been stuff that you've seen over, because you've been riding, like I said, a lot. Has there been a lot of safety stuff that you've noticed over the past few trips?
Unsafety?
Yeah, I mean,
I guess unsafety, lack of.
Yeah, I'm sure most of it is probably lack of safety rather versus safety. But I think, in all these sports, I think people underrate their safety. They instantly go to a cage. And that was going to be one of the questions that I had for more of an enthusiast, non-race program. I mean, and George was talking about that a little bit ago, where these cars are $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 now, just buying them. And then, most of these cars that you see out there are $50,000, $60,000 plus cars. And there's not a lot of safety. So in more of a sport rider or enthusiast, I guess what would be the minimum, I guess almost like a package that you would say, this is technically what I would consider, stage one in safety that you should have if you are out in a UTV.
Well, before you answer that, Jeff, because I know you guys have a good answer for that, but let's go back to one of the things that I said before, Billy, like, don't go out and just necessarily buy a package from one of the accessory companies and put harnesses in it, because the stock stuff isn't that bad compared to a shitty harness and seat setup. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be taking steps backwards. So just leave the stock stuff in unless you know how to prepare it and how to do it. Like, I can't stress that enough. We go to the dunes, and myself and my crew chief will go to different campsites, walk around the campsite, and make sure that people are set up properly. We'll give them a beer. We'll hang out. Like, we do this stuff because we care, and it's really, really unfortunate when we see these people dropping so much money in just the cool shit, because it doesn't help.
Right. And I'm a firm believer, and I don't know how good they are, but I see so many people taking the stock Polaris, the Sub-Zero harnesses out of the vehicles. And those, I think a lot of people don't know. And I don't know how good this is or isn't. But for Polaris to put their name on it, the slowed restraint system, like if you pull back a factory Sub-Zero harness up at the shoulder area, there's actually an attachment point that I'm assuming a front end collision, it's actually a slowed restraint system versus an instant shock to your body. So maybe you guys can answer how good that is or isn't.
I think that Polaris system, like I said, I bought one a few months ago that I've been working on, and the seatbelts aren't the first thing I looked at to replace. I thought they were, I think they're pretty good, and I think they're in a pretty good position. I messed around. I got a Turbo S Velocity, so it doesn't have that 6-point system in it. But at the dealership, I messed around with it a little bit. And
I'm speaking more on the factory ones that aren't adjustable. They're more like an aftermarket harness, not the Click 6 that are.
I think that's a pretty good harness. To be honest with you, it's a 4-point, and if it's adjusted properly, I think that's a pretty good set of harnesses, to be honest with you.
And it doesn't feel bad either.
And so I would say that replacing that with an aftermarket set of 4-point harnesses is doing you absolutely no good at all. And that's coming from someone who sells that stuff. So if you want to upgrade that, you'd go with an aftermarket 5 or 6-point harness set and set that up properly. But that 4-point set, I think the buckles seems pretty good. The adjustment, they're a little hard to adjust. The adjusters aren't super high quality, but they're safe. They're that cast steel. You could replace them and probably get better adjustment hardware on them. But as far as pure safety goes, if you've got them on tight.
But even if you're the enthusiast and you want your huge friend to be sitting, excuse me, in the passenger seat, and then your small wife or something.
Yeah,
those aren't that bad.
They're not that bad. The only thing at that point is that they've got to be on perfect and they've got to be on tight. That the seat in those things offers no side support whatsoever.
Yeah, zero.
So I think seating would be, an upgrade, but.
So you do the seat before the harnesses?
I would.
Yeah.
As long as it's some of the, the good side. If you're going to go to the trouble of, putting in a decent seat, at that point you can.
You're working on it. You might as well put harnesses in.
You've already got it in pieces. You might as well put a good harness in, as long as you put a better harness.
Better harnesses.
Got it.
But
going from like that Sub-Zero setup or one of those other ones that actually look pretty good to one of the ones that you can buy for $200. And just because they have sparkles on them and glitter, you're going the exact opposite. I think that Polaris product is
they got a
pretty
cell
high-end.
phone pocket, bro. Like that's what they got. Like you're more worried about a cell phone pocket than
hold your vape mod.
Right.
Oh my god, I hate that.
You can hold your vape.
And I'm a firm believer in the Polaris harnesses. I've owned 3 Turbo S's in a row.
Okay.
And I see guys selling those harnesses for $150 because they bought XYZ brand for $150 and they just want their money back. And I buy them all the time. I probably have 5 sets sitting
Yeah.
here. So I'm not sure why, because I don't need them, but nonetheless, I'm like, those are not bad harnesses.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad. I think it's a pretty good harness and set up properly. So I think I would do. So I wouldn't replace the harnesses first thing. I see a lot of the bent up cages. So I think a quality cage would probably be one of the first things, along with seats.
And the keyword is quality on the cage too. You see some aftermarket cage. There's everybody and their uncle is now making cages. Anybody with a fab shop or a pipe bending shop or anything like that is now bending cages. And you see some of these cages that they just look cool, but you also look at it and say that's going to flatten like a pancake if you go over on the top of it.
Yeah, the problem is
I'm sure you've seen
you
some
don't
of those.
know.
Oh my god!
So you got to go find someone you
Dude,
trust.
I saw one online today. It was somebody in Arizona went off like a
The
hillside.
red car.
Oh my god, dude! Did you see that?
Cage literally bent right in half. Yeah. And I was
So
just, whoa.
the
factory?
No, it was a 120 wall too, but they built it themselves. And I don't know these people. I'm not saying that the fabricator sucked or anything, but between the A pillar and the B pillar, the cage, it must have hit a rock or something because it folded directly in the middle. And whatever happened to them in the car, they must have had decent seats and harnesses because they would have been sitting there with their fully crunched down because this cage was so low. I couldn't believe it. I got to show you guys and find the pictures, man. It's pretty intense. I'm so glad that they're safe.
Yeah, it's frightening seeing the aftermath.
Savage UTV posted a picture of that.
So we'll see if we can pull it up while Billy's asking his questions here.
So back on the seats, one of the things that that I see is there's a lot of aftermarket seats being put on the stock base with that stock latch. So
the plastic one.
Yeah. So what happens is you put a much bigger seat that is maybe wrapping around someone's shoulders on that plastic base, on that single pin in the back, and there's just so much more leverage being put on that. I don't see how those pins are holding up, or that latch assembly itself possibly can hold up to the type of forces that are being put on these with these big seats they're putting in them. So
do you guys offer? Do you guys offer a replacement metal seat base that would?
We're working on one. We're working on it. We have right now several racing seat brackets, but we don't have direct applications for UTVs. But we're working on some now. I've got one in the shop now that we're basically prototyping some stuff for to get the seats lower and make the brackets strong enough for a proper racing seat to bolt to. So we're pretty close. I almost finished one. So
I got to tell you, Billy, I was over there in the shop just kind of checking stuff out a day or two ago, and the system that he has is like nothing that's available on the market right now. It's going to be pretty cool.
Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, but strong enough.
So in the business world, Billy, like the simpler you make it, the better it works. Like that's the way he's going.
Yep, simple and strong.
Right.
It has one job to do.
Right. Right.
So, and will you still have an adjustable seat slider on that, or no?
So I just built one on the car I was talking about on the Razor. It's got a Sparco seat in it with one of our seat pads, which is a little taller than stock, with our short seat pad, which we call our standard, in a Sparco seat on sliders in a Razor that's 2 inches lower than the stock seat, without cutting anything. You're going to have to modify the way it is now to get the seat that low. You're going to have to modify the console behind the shifter. But we're looking for a solution for that but if you put a narrower seat in it, you wouldn't have to. That's with the Sparco, with a large Sparco, the Evo L, which is actually what I'm sitting in here now.
Right. It's pretty big
but it's
seat.
2 inches lower than the stock seat at the pad. So with sliders on a slider.
But the rad thing, Billy, is that it's one of those things that you could totally install and it's easier to put together than a freaking IKEA table. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty sweet.
Right. Well, let me know when they're ready, and I'll definitely take a pair. And yeah.
So we'll have it. Yeah, we're going to probably have a couple different options, and maybe direct mount seat specific mounts for them. So it should be super straightforward, not too expensive, and then maybe a couple latch options. Like, you can utilize the stock latch, but if you're using a racing seat on it, we're definitely have to come up with something more heavy duty, which we've got a couple options now.
So Billy and his wife Kristen go a lot. Like, so you could put maybe a smaller seat for her in the passenger and a larger seat
absolutely.
for him, and then kind of just switch them around or whatever, go forward and back.
The seat bracket.
I'm just really, I like, if she wants to drive, I like to be able to have the option of the slider. And that's the only reason I've ever kept the slider. She doesn't drive that often, but if she does want to go out with a friend or whatever, I want to make it as universal as possible, but safe as possible. So kind of juggling both of those options.
Yeah. And you should be able to do that. It's not a big deal. So
I feel like that's a pretty common UTV scenario.
Yeah. You want to have sliders.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because most people are family, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, or your friend is a little bit shorter and he wants to use your car. So,
yeah, it's cool, man.
Never let your friend drive your car, because then they wreck them. haven't you been seeing all them videos from the dudes about? Yeah, let my buddy wipe out my car.
Drive it
like it's your friends.
Yeah, drive it like it's your friends.
I only let my friends drive my car if I know they can afford to replace it, and I let them know right up front.
Right on, man.
Hold a little collateral like motorhome keys or something on the way out.
I don't have any friends like that.
You run their driver's license, make sure that they got a clear DMV record first.
Credit check.
Yeah, full credit check before they take it.
Listen to George, who's giving people beer as he's giving them a safety seminar.
We do it at night, so they don't go out after that. Okay.
You give them time to think about the safety meeting you gave them the night or the rest of the night.
Yeah, well, the reason that we do that is because most of them go out there and say, "Get the hell out of camp!" Like, we don't want to talk to you about safety. I'm already good, man. I go faster than everybody else out here. Right. I'm like Robbie Gordon of my camp. Like, so every single person needs a little bit of.
They make the best fail videos.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is, it's easy to go over there with the beer and say, "Hey, can I check out your car?" So it's way more beneficial for them to drink a beer in camp while we're adjusting their seatbelts and wait an hour before they go ride than to ruin a whole weekend. So,
well, people getting hurt's bad for everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
So
it's bad for the desert, bad for everyone.
What'd you say, Billy?
I said, including the person that's getting hurt.
Yeah.
It's bad for them too.
But it's bad for the industry.
Right. It looks bad on every company that you might or might not have.
And there's a picture of it. You know what I mean? So it's just, couldn't be worse.
You definitely don't get away with anything these days.
There's a picture everywhere in 13 seconds.
Yeah, that's not helping any of us keep land open, or, that's just ammunition for the people trying to shut us down.
Thanks for the great questions, though, Billy. You got anything else before we let you go and start doing our little demo with Tim in this seat so you can check out how to set up a seat?
Yeah, no, I want to say thank you guys for everything you do as far as safety in the community. And, even for the people that don't thank you, I will, on behalf of them, say thank you for everything that you do, that, you guys keep their safety in mind, even when they don't know they need safety in mind. So, and then George, I'm super proud of you for getting back out there, going to the UTV World Championships, and awesome job from Craig and SMG for giving you a a vessel to redeem yourself in, and I'm sure that probably felt really good. So,
It did, man. I cried like a little bitch at the end, dude. I was just bawling. It was crazy.
And he didn't suck.
That was it's emotional. I mean, that's a huge feat and a huge hurdle in life to overcome and do something like that. So I'm sure emotions were running deep.
Yeah, that's what I just told him. I said, hey, just have fun and don't suck. And he didn't.
I got lost for 10 minutes, man.
So did everybody else behind you.
If I could get I looked at their GPS and stuff. If I could have got those 10, well, actually the guys in front of me, the guys behind me did get lost, but the guys in front of me, man, if I could have only got that 10 minutes back.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But no, all you were doing is learning where not to go. See, everything's a lesson in life. So next time you're just like, I know I don't go there.
You just wanted more seat time.
100%. Yeah, I just wanted to drive Craig's car for 10 more minutes.
Yeah, because you were so comfortable in the seat, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, these guys helped out a ton, man. Like, I couldn't have done it without them because I would have been out there just jiggling around. I probably actually, now thinking about it, my head was like shaking around just riding a desert race, right? Like, so I was getting tired in the car. If I didn't have it properly set up, I probably wouldn't have even completed the race because it would have been jarring me so bad.
Right. Well, that means they did their job and you did yours.
Yeah, 100%, man. Hey, thanks, dude. And next time you go up to Sand Hollow, give us a ring.
Yeah, sounds good. I just got back from the HCR side-by-side rally like 15 hours ago. I was actually there again.
Oh, that's right. You drove the HCR, the General or whatever, right?
Yep, and the Can-Am Defender. Yeah.
Does that thing have portals on it? Because it's got, what, 40-inch tires?
I think they're 41s or 42s.
Yeah, 42s,
yeah,
I think.
Both of them. Both of them have portals, and they're actually really drivable cars, believe it or not.
Really?
I mean, here's the thing. I wouldn't go dooning it and side hilling it or anything like that, obviously.
I wouldn't drive it across the street.
That's crazy.
It was mind-boggling.
That's cool.
How smooth those cars actually were. Like I didn't expect it.
Hey, what did Kristen say? Because it was a full encapsulated cab.
Oh, that was awesome. On the Defender, that was. I mean, I'm about ready to buy an enclosed cab vehicle just to cruise around on the streets. I mean, heat and AC.
Really?
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, they're all fancy now.
Power windows. I was like, this is a car. It had leather. It had leather interior.
They're all King Ranch.
Dude, go.
What was it?
Like a King Ranch.
Yeah.
It was like one of those, like a Polaris General or whatever. Like, what's it called?
Oh, it's an HD10. Is it like the HD10 Defender, right?
Yep, it was a limited. Yeah, and I did a full like walk around video of it. So I'll make sure I get that on my page and post it up. But it's pretty cool. And Polaris actually makes one now called the North Star Edition.
Of course.
The competing models with each other. But yeah, the evolution of these machines is crazy. I can't even imagine in another 5 or 10 years of, I mean, what they'll be like.
It's crazy. Yeah, I just showed him the picture of Kristen standing on top of the wheel, and this is showing him that vehicle, man. That's crazy.
Check the box on the loan payment, and only $50 extra a month. You're gonna
20 years. This baby be mine.
AC.
Exactly. Just think, this will be paid off when your house is paid off.
Yeah.
No big deal.
All right, homie. Hey, thanks so much, dude. Like I said, hit us up next time you go out.
Sounds good. All right, you guys. Thanks for the time, and have a good evening.
All right, thanks for calling.
You as well.
Bye.
All right, so let's get into it, man. We've been sitting here for a long time. You want to take a commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll do this stuff? All right, so hang tight, guys. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period. Finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I've been trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch, you can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans, like let's say a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there, or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up.
You can patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah. Also, as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel, and then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks for staying on with us. We really appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys can just hang out for a little bit longer. I know the show's running a little bit long, but we're going to do some pretty fun stuff here. We'll probably actually take this out and put it on YouTube as its own segment. We're going to show you how, well, first, Jeff, you want to do it, how not to put somebody in the harnesses, and then we'll do how we should put somebody in the harnesses?
Yeah, so this is just a typical 5-point setup. That my lovely assistant Tim will.
Yeah, so this is a pretty. They've got a rig here already kind of designed up, and you can see that it has adjustability on it. So we're going to go over how to actually set up your seatbelts a little bit and get you guys a little bit more associated with what it should properly be when you actually do it. Everybody has a different set of harnesses, and everybody has different latches and different seats and stuff like that, but most of these things will go along with however your setup is.
How bad is that?
It looks terrible. It looks pretty horrible.
Okay,
for me.
So this is a real typical setup. So
let's turn Tim a little bit more towards. There you go, right there.
So as you can see, his shoulder harnesses. This might look good to a lot of you because maybe how your setup is, but what's going on here is his shoulder harnesses are coming up over his shoulder. So they're they're going up at an arc. Obviously,
Yeah, so it's low on the bar in the back.
It's too low. So when you tighten them down, obviously all the pressure is downward right here, and he's compressing his spine.
Right.
So the other issue is
it looks like it's pulling his left shoulder down, almost like he's like.
Yeah, how it's where like right now, just the way I'm preloaded, it's killing my lower back.
Yeah, it looks
so.
like it.
And you can probably can you move around in it?
Oh my God, that's crazy! Look at that.
So he can move around a bunch because of that arc. He's just sliding forward in the arc. So if you hit something,
and he's 6 inches, 8 inches away from the back of the seat.
Yeah, so he's going to, and then plus the seatbelts aren't even stretched yet. But this is a real typical wrong setup. And there's not. I mean, he's got these.
And this
tight.
is all the way. This is above my belly button.
Oh wow!
You know, when you see how that goes down.
So basically, the lap belt, his shoulder harnesses are set up wrong. It's pulling up on the lap belt against the substrap. The substrap is too long, which is allowing the lap belt to get too tall, basically.
Right.
So the lap belt should be right in this crevice of your hip.
Turn around and show the camera that.
Your hip is the strongest part of your body, basically. So and that's what you want to. That's what you want to restrain. So, but he's up above that. So he's not. He's being restrained. Basically,
so this should be way lower.
Yeah,
and then these should be at a different angle.
These should be pulling back, not down. So if he hit something right now, his body would probably go. The energy, his body would roll forward in the belts as it can without, like you can do it. Would automatically do that.
That's
his
crazy.
Back would arc, and this is where a real common lumbar injury, L4,
right.
Off-road guys, they all break, their lumbar, one of the vertebrae in the lumbar. So, and it's just a very common bad setup. Spines compress, it's just completely loaded.
So it looks like the bar in the back is like down here.
Yeah.
So it's like it's pretty low.
So what I can do is I can loosen them in the back actually.
So
all I'm doing here is I'm just going to raise the bar in the back.
So now the belts are going this way, and then if you can't see them on the camera, the belts are kind of going just straight back.
They're going straight back
off of his shoulder,
directly back, and then.
Does that give you the opportunity to tighten those more, or?
He can, but I can tighten them in the back too. So he's going to correct the substrap, and this is actually an adjustable substrap.
The whole thing goes down.
So the substrap just pulled the lap belt down.
So now the lap belt is across his hips.
Right, which is basically the strongest part of your body. So now substrap short. This is an adjustable substrap. Not all cars have that, but you can pre-adjust your substrap.
Right, and get it pretty close.
And if you have 2 different size drivers in the car or whatever, or 3 different size, and you're not going to, and it's not adjustable substrap, we'll run multiple substraps.
Right.
Because that's the only part that's really hard to adjust.
Yeah, gotcha.
So let me lower the back.
While you guys do that, Alfonso Jimenez chimed in and said, this is probably one of the most important shows. It's crazy how I thought I was just after a comfy seat, but should probably be after something a little bit safer. I think that's the way a lot of the people think. Man, that looks so much different.
So now his shoulder harnesses are pulling him back in the seat. Can you move forward?
So are you trying to move forward the same way that you did?
He can't move forward.
Yeah, he can't move forward now.
Wow, that's insane.
And the pressure on my lower back has changed.
So now you don't have that like downward pressure?
Right.
So now his spine's not preloaded.
How does it feel? Like does it feel like it's like hitting you right here on the hips or anything?
Well, yeah, it's right on your hip bone. So it comes right across your hips. Just sitting here like this between you two that could start kicking my ass or something. It's uncomfortable.
Right. But in a G-force situation,
but as far as
but your shoulders don't hurt.
No, my shoulder doesn't hurt, and I have a back problem from a car accident.
Right.
Which just that adjustment from being pulled down to being up level
made a big difference.
It's entirely changed.
So he just basically got all the travel back in his spine.
So what are the fundamental things? Maybe you could turn over a little bit, Jeff, and kind of point this out and tell us. So we just said a bunch of the stuff. We concentrated on the shoulders.
The 2 things that I did here is I raised the shoulder harnesses, and we shortened the substrap. The substrap is what it's doing is it's pulling against the shoulder harnesses, which makes sense. Some people,
when you say substrap, you're talking about the one that
crotch
goes between
strap,
your legs,
substrap,
yeah. Submarine strap,
yeah, but submarine. I think this came from people thought it was to keep you from sliding under the belts. In a Formula car in the old days, and you had a 5-point harness, you were laid back so much that without that belt and you got in a front end crash, you could go under your lap belt.
I see.
But when you're sitting vertical in a seat, you're never really going to go under the seatbelt.
Makes sense.
So, but what the primary function of that in this seating position is to pull against the shoulder harnesses. If you didn't have that connected, and he was pulling on the shoulder harnesses, all it would do is pull up your lap belts.
Got it.
Yeah, so I can loosen these I can loosen these up to where I can move forward like this, but that lap belt's not moving.
Right.
So I can't.
So he's still restrained, but he's now his shoulder harnesses are loose, and he's moving as much as he did before when the harnesses were adjusted.
Remember when we referred to dune tight?
Yeah.
So when you're even in that situation.
So in dune tight, so you hit a G out or you stick the front end, your body slams against the belt, and then your neck whips forward.
Which kind of goes into the same thing about, so when I do this and and lean forward with the loose belt like this, and this is all tight down here, I can feel it in my lower back again.
Oh, okay. So it's just a combination of all those different things.
Yeah, it's like, your back is the strongest when your spine is straight. It's like if you're lifting weights.
Right.
Or you're lifting anything, you want to keep your back straight. So that's when your back is the strongest. Your back can take a bunch of G's if it's in line.
Right.
If it's not in line, if you're
One of them is gonna
crooked or whatever, if you know how your vertebrae all together, if you're, if they're touching in one way or another, if you're going forward or going backwards or whatever, there's space.
Right.
If you're, if you're having a bunch of injuries, there should be space in between them, so your bones shouldn't be smacking together. You break your back when your bones smack together.
That's
so.
crazy,
I mean, it's
man.
just like a spring blocking. So, but now he's completely restrained. He can't move forward. If he gets in if he sticks the front end, he's going to go against the belt, but his belts are going to progressively stretch. So
Right.
it's not going to go and then stop.
It's pretty crazy to see. Maybe stand back a little bit, Jeff, so we can see you as well in the camera shot too. It's pretty crazy to see how much just that simple adjustment did in the comfortability and the safety.
Yep.
And one of the things that I think would be most interesting for our audience, it's pretty clear that he's safer, but you're not hurting sitting in the seat. There's so many people that get car sick in the dunes. There's so many people that come back and they're like, oh, my back hurts. I'm not going to go. I got to drink a beer back at camp. Like, I got to chill out. I'm not going to go for a night ride. Or
Yeah, it's the whole compression. Like you said, I've got a lower back issue, and when it's pulling down, and there's so many people that have the same thing from a car accident, motorcycle, falling down some stairs, whatever. Everybody complains about their lower back.
Right.
Lower back. Every phone call we get about a seat has something to do with somebody's lower back. If it's a racer, a lot of the guys have been around a long time start talking about lower back. So that the big difference is the correct positioning of your shoulders, and explaining to people that it's amazing. Like Jeff said, we talk about 90%, but it's 99%. Other people don't. When you tell them, well, your lap belt is to hold your hips down,
right,
and your shoulder belts are to hold your shoulders back, a lot of people, well, that makes sense.
Right.
And it's just something you've never thought of.
Yeah. I mean, even like we were talking before, like it doesn't look like you need a pad because it's not rubbing you the wrong way. Like,
nope.
Dude, it must be somewhat comfy because you haven't loosened them yet, and we're just sitting here having a conversation.
And if it's like this, he doesn't need a sternum strap.
Right.
Because
they're not coming off the side.
Yeah, because it's stuck, right? That's crazy.
They're not coming
man.
over. They're not coming over the sides of the seat, which you see in a lot of the cases.
We need to share the shit out of this video so we can have a bunch of people get safer, man. So, all right. Well, it's been a while. We've had a pretty long show. You guys stayed late after work. I really appreciate it. So,
are we on overtime? Are we collecting overtime? No.
Oh man, You're gonna
No.
get it. You got in and out.
You're going to get paid exactly what you're worth.
Again.
Well, yeah. So there's tons more that you could teach everybody, and obviously I'm still learning, and you've taught me a bunch, Jeff. Both you and Tim have done huge things for my side-by-side racing career, and even after, just helping people like what we're doing on the show tonight. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time, man. It's
Glad
pretty
to
awesome.
do it.
It's super cool. So, if anybody wants to get a hold of you guys, what's the best way? I know that already 90% of the people that called in tonight and had questions are going to get a hold of you. So what's
Our
the best
contact information is on upr.com.
Okay.
So just get a hold of us through there.
Sure.
They can electronic mail us. It's this thing that happens on the on that electronic computer.
So, and you guys can always reach out to us too. We'll try to connect you guys as well. What's the Instagrams?
UPR _offroad racing and UPR _racing supply is the two for the business. So.
Okay, cool. So I think we put those in some of the stories that we had on social media earlier today, as well as some of the posts that we had. So go ahead and slide into these guys' DMs if you guys don't feel like, I don't know who sends emails anymore these days, right? So you said you like them, but I don't.
We're easy to find.
Yeah,
we're always here.
And call the boys. So, and if you guys ever want, come have tacos and hang out, and then come down to the shop and check out some of the stuff that they have. They have tons of other stuff. I don't know if you guys can see the stuff they have in the background. They have mirrors. They have, I don't know. We didn't even use this camera angle, so we set up another camera angle to show you some of the gear that they have. What did I call it? Suit. It was
outfits.
I called it outfits, but I was already told race suits. How many race suits they have? They have neck braces, all kinds of protection stuff. Obviously, they have shoes and helmets and everything like that. So please reach out to these guys if you need anything. They're stocking a lot of accessories too. I see some Polaris door bags over here and different things like that from PRP. So you guys can obviously talk to them at any time
Switch
for any of the
Pros.
stuff. Oh yeah, Switch
We
Pros.
just got in Switch Pros. We got the
a lot of IBOC.
Yeah, a lot of IBOC. The AIM belt temp gauge, which is a awesome piece.
Yeah, those things are super cool.
It's such a nice piece.
So, yeah, because you're going to need a belt temp gauge after you can last longer in the car. Make sure your belt's not overheating, right?
Heck yeah.
So thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you guys sticking through this long show. It was awesome. I definitely want to thank all of our sponsors, the guys over at Shock Therapy. You can use the code DIRTLIFE over at shocktherapist.com. Thank you very much to Ryan and Ryan at KMC Wheels and EFX Tires. Those guys, like I said, have a bunch of cool projects coming up for 2021 with us. It's going to be awesome for you guys to be able to see some of that stuff. Zollinger Racing Products, those guys have the best stuff in the business. Use the code DIRTLIFE over at ZollingerRacingProducts.com. Solder Weld, you can get your off-road repair kit as well. Use the code DIRTLIFE over there. And our newest sponsor, Cryo Heat. You can get all your metal treated. They have transmission replacements for Pro Mod transmissions for the Razors, all kinds of cool stuff. They can do your CV joints, everything, man. So Josh and the guys over at Cryo Heat are doing an awesome job. So please give them a call too. Everybody that supports us is the lifeblood of our show, so we really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and thank you guys again for co-hosting the show.
For coming and doing this, George.
Sharing all the info with everybody.
Come a long way, man. I've known you a minute or two.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Well, we had a good ride in Reddington Pass after I got hurt, man. That was a pretty encouraging thing, man. That was good. So now that you guys all have side-by-sides, we got to go ride.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. Like I said, we love you. Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.